call the Verne City Council meeting to order. I'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here, and if we can all rise and join the Pledge of Allegiance together. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Carter. Here. Councilmember Davis. Absent. Councilmember Hepburn.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez.
Here.
Mayor Kendrick.
Here. Those of you that picked up an agenda see that there's 5 presentations tonight, so that's a good thing. One that we have every year is something that's very special for those of us that are in the Youth and Family Action Committee, and that deals with mental health. We in Laverne are very, very fortunate because we have one of the 2 agencies that are recognized by the county for mental health, so we do not have to go to the county for services. And that is Tri-City, who represents Laverne, Pomona, and Army. So tonight, we're going to make a presentation to Tri-City, and at this time, I would like to ask Dana to come forward. I first met Dana at our Youth and Family Action Committee.
Mr. Mayor, can you use the microphone to have people who sorry.
I first met Dana 10 years ago. Can you hear? I think so. Somebody's putting some earplugs on out there, but because she worked for Tri-City and she was a representative to our Youth and Family Action Committee that creates at-risk kids programs. And that's all we do, and we've done it for 27 years now. I've been involved for 25 years. It's probably one of the best things that we have because we create programs for kids. And Dana has gone all the way up into a number of positions, but she's also in charge of our city navigator. And our city navigator is the one that provides services on a daily basis to those in need in our city. We're here today to talk about mental health and mental health in minorities. Mental health affects 1 out of every 5 people, not to a degree where they are debilitated, but somewhere on that scale of barely affected to seriously affected. 1 in 5 people are affected. So on behalf of the city of Verne, I'd like to read this proclamation to you, Dana, and to Tri-City. Over 60 million Americans suffer with mental health conditions in any given year. Mental health does not discriminate and can impact anyone regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, or sexuality, yet minority experiences increased barriers to treatment. Poor mental health care access and quality contribution to term mental health outcomes include suicide among racial, ethnic, and minority populations. For almost 60 years, the organization Tri-City Mental Health that Dana is a part of has provided the highest level of care for the diverse residents in Claremont, Laverne, and Pomona, utilizing a collaborative approach that considers each individual's conflict and beliefs in developing the most effective treatment plan. In 2008, the U.S. House of Representatives proclaimed July as Minority Mental Health Month to bring public awareness to the unique struggles that underrepresented groups face in regards to mental health and to improve access to mental health treatment and services. So on this day, we are declaring July as Minority Mental Health, and thank you for your contributions in this day.
Just very quickly, I know you have a full agenda and a full room, so just very briefly, thank you so much. I appreciate this. And I'd also like to recognize Robin Carter, too, council member, who is our chair for our governing board for Tri-City Mental Health. So thank you for all you do. I think everyone in the room here knows someone or perhaps has a family member who suffers with mental health challenges. And if you do, you know how difficult it is for that individual maybe to seek services or to acknowledge the need for services. And so just imagine for a moment that person might be a minority. And as a minority, the other challenges they face could be language barriers, it could be cultural barriers, and certainly stigma. So again, we are so proud to be a part of this, recognizing July as Minority Mental Health. This proclamation is really just acknowledgement that recovery is possible and there are services available. And we'll just keep reaching out and offering those. And the last thing is we are hosting a community inclusion, diversity, and wellness fair with Tri-City. A lot of resources. This will be over at our wellness center. We have some flyers right over here, so please, if you'd like to take a flyer, if you know someone or you'd like to come yourself, we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Danny. For 8 years, we've had 2 people that have performed amazing work in our Planning Commission. Planning Commission is a commission that does a lot of hearings for variances, conditional use permits, and other types of hearings. So at this time, I would like to have Gill and Norm Faustini please come forward. These 2 individuals are actually friends of mine for all the right reasons. They bring to Laverne, what they've done to Laverne has made Laverne a lot better. But they don't just come to the planning committee, the meetings. They are out in our community making Laverne the best it can be. You have all seen the blue shirts. We have some blue shirts tonight from the RSVPs. We're going to adjourn the meeting. We've lost 2 of our members, so we're going to adjourn in their honor, and they're here to recognize those individuals. But Norm has been the head of RSVP for many years, and the leadership plays a big part in how good the RSVP is and how much they contribute. In any event, you'll see RSVP out there, a new program called Yana, You Are Not Alone. We have RSVP members that are out in our community that are seeing our seniors that are homebound. So under this man's leadership and the guy taking the pictures who found this program in San Diego and another community, we have another added program. Norm has been the chair of our planning commission for a number of years. He, if you go around Metropolitan Water and you see that gorgeous fence, Gilbert.
Norm. What?
Sorry, Gilbert.
I know.
He came up early. But you can thank Gilbert for that because the chain link fence was what was going to go up around NWD. And Gilbert says, I don't think so. We're going to do something a little better. And you see a great example of something that we should be very proud of. Excess property in Laverne, Gilead, biopharmaceuticals was on excess MWD property. There was we can also thank Gilbert as part of the lead in making that happen. So there's 2 individuals up here that we are very thankful for what they've brought to this community and continue to bring this community to make it the best it can be. So I have something for each of you. Presented by the Verne City Council to Gilbert Ivy for dedicated service to the Planning Commission from 2011 to 2019. Gilbert.
Thanks.
And I won't call you Norm. I won't call you Gill. Again, present to the Verne City on behalf of the Verne City Council. The Norm Faustini, stop it. For dedicated service on the Planning Commission for the same years, 2011 to 2019. 8 years is the maximum that we can have. on planning commission. I will tell you, these two were exemplary people, and seeing them go is very unfortunate, but we have some good people to follow. So Norm, on behalf of the city, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next presentation is to a person I think most everybody in this audience knows. If you don't, you should. And that is Mickey. Mickey, if you'll come forward.
Yeah, the microphone.
Mickey is an amazing person who makes Laverne really shine. The events that you see downtown, the wine walk, the Sip of Laverne, which is the beer walk, the open house around Christmas time, and on and on and on. We can thank the person to my left because she is involved in everything. And because of that, she was recognized from Assembly District 41 as the Business of the Year. And that was on June 19th, 2019. And this was at the annual Small Business of the Year luncheon organized by the California Small Business Association. Obviously, she lives in Laverne. She owns Mickey's Jewelry Studio down on D Street, back where she started, because she worked at Laverne Jewelry years, decades and decades ago. And but you're one of the few in this room that hasn't aged. But Mickey is my wife loves Mickey's jewelry, so it is a compliment to have that in our city. And Mickey, thank you very much for all you do for the city. Well-deserved honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time we're going to have a presentation from South Coast Air Quality Management District. That's part of the AQMD. They're going to make a presentation, and Michael, it's...
Mayor, great to see you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, it's been a long time. Great to see you, council member. Great to see you at the Gold Line meeting, and great to see you at the COG meetings. I'm not sure how to operate this. Sorry. Please stop. So Mayor, I'm your representative for the South Coast Air Quality Management District. I represent for you and the other 35 cities from Claremont all the way up to Santa Clarita. I was last week on air quality issues. And here's the South Coast AQMD for you and the residents that may not know about it in the audience. It's 4 counties, LA, San Bernardino, Orange, and Riverside. And we were formed to meet health standards and reduce air pollution. You can see it covers 10,000 square miles in the 4 counties in Southern California. So we have 42 monitors throughout the 4 counties. If you've ever got an issue with odors, you feel there's something out there that might be polluting the air, you can call us. We'll get some investigators out there to check it out, some of the companies, and try to work with them to reduce it. But here's all the issues we all face, and we know about it. The freeways, the low, medium duty vehicles, freight trains, ocean-going vessels. On the right bottom, the worst, the heavy-duty diesel trucks, off-road construction equipment at the bottom, manufacturing to the left. All those are mobile sources of pollution. Air quality district, we can control stationary sources, gas stations, refineries, landfills. We do stick our nose and try to get a lot of grants in these other areas. Here's why this is so important, because all that pollution coming from those vehicles, those trucks, those trains, those planes, impact you, your family, your kids, your parents, your grandparents, and your pets. Not only your respiratory problems, but we now know your nervous system. We know it's associated with asthma, Alzheimer's, and autism recently. But there's some good news. There's a lot of money available in the Volkswagen settlement, $500 million. On the left, there's several categories. You go down a couple. Zero-emission transit school bus, and even farther down, light duty zero. You can apply for those actually right now. It's a trust that runs it. We look for the trust. Here's a couple other programs. The city on the left is Carl Moyer. We just did this last year in South Pass. We got one of our public works vehicles. It was diesel. We wanted to convert it over to compressed natural gas. The HMD will give you the difference by purchasing a cleaner vehicle, which you would have paid in the diesel. And over the long term, you save a lot of money on operations and maintenance. Prop 1B is pretty much over. Here's a lot of stuff for your residents. On the left, depending on your income level, you can get up to $9,500. Turn in an old polluting vehicle and just get a cleaner vehicle. It can be hybrid, plug-in hybrid, all-electric vehicle, compressed natural gas, hydrogen fuel cell. You don't want that, you get a transit pass like I have forever, basically. Just go down 4 or 5, it says www.replaceyourride. We just gave away, I think, 77 vouchers last week at the HMD. So if you know somebody that can qualify, reduces pollution, it's going to give them a lot of money. We got money from the feds for a long time. On the right, school bus program. We've given away, look at the bottom, $208 million since 2001. Convert those old, remember when we were kids, we'd get on a diesel school bus, there's still a lot around, unfortunately. We'll convert them over, we'll give you 50 grand, convert them over to compressed natural gas. As of last year, we started having electric ones. So you can get electric one for a little more money we'll give you, they're even cleaner. Also for residents and everybody here, you want to get a charging station, not just your wall outlet, but a level 2, which is 240 volt, will give you between $200, $500. Edison will supplement that with even more money. So you think about an electric car or plug-in electric, now's the time to do it. There's a lot of money available to get that charging for your home. Here's a great program we have. We did it in South Pass, become the first city to maintain all our parks by electric equipment. Remember that, Charlie? So we started with one park, and then we did the whole city, all our soccer fields, baseball fields, and no more gas, no more pollution, and the residents love it because it's 7 o'clock on a Saturday, you don't hear that leaf blower going. Dan, you got 1 minute, come up. This is the man that helped our city go from including electric lawn equipment to, including gas equipment to lawn equipment. And Dan will give you a demonstration, tell you what it does. Dan?
Hello, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, Dan Mabe, American Green Zone Alliance. I know we're in a hurry here, but I just want to stress 2 things. Lower noise for the police officers here and city management. When you operate these in your city, you're going to get less complaints. The other is cost of operations benefit. This battery will operate at 36 cents an hour. Its gas equivalent is more like $1.30 an hour. So the economics of this make sense, I assure you.
Dan, can you do the demonstration?
Okay.
Charlie, I'll be the experiment. Charlie, that comes and people can see.
Don't be afraid. No toupees on.
A little over here, would you? Can you stay for the whole evening?
4 feet. This will last up to an hour and a half on one charge, just to let you guys know. So it's available. Michael could finish about the program, how you can trade in your gas and get these for the cost of entry cost for gas equipment. You guys have a nice evening.
Thanks, Dan. And I'm not sure if you have your own staff that does it, or we had a contractor. We put it in the contract that was 2 years, a main part, Clarksville Park would become electric. After that was done for a year or 2, and the workers loved it, the entire city, we said, you're going to make all the electric. So thanks. And Dan will come personally and show the workers how to do it. We also have a program for the residents if you want to. I did this 9 years ago. I turned to my old gas polluting lawnmower. You get anywhere from $150 to $200, up to $250 if it's like a self-propelled mower. They give you that money, turn your old one in, trash it, give her the gas. An all-electric, coreless electric lawnmower, state-of-the-art. We'll give you $500 if you're converting over your HVAC system this summer. You want to get a furnace, put the furnace into it. We'll give you $500 off to get a low NOx, nitric oxide furnace. Your city mayor's done a lot. Some of your residents and your companies that use our car and wire program, we talked about before, to buy down, including diesel vehicles, and got some CNG trucks. And your city has got a lot of money, Mayor, and your council members. I've heard you purchased 3 medium-duty CNG vehicles. This is money from every resident's car registration fee. Every resident gets $4 off. That goes to AQMD. Each city gets 40% of that, AQMD 30%, and it's something called the MSRC. It's set up by the legislature in 1990, gets the other 30%. But you use all this money for great stuff, 53 vehicles, retrofit your off-duty vehicles. This is another program maybe you and Pomona might think about. We give this money, it's called Major Event Center Transportation. It's for any event over 5,000, maybe at the fair. Unfortunately, only people that come that I approve is the LA Dodgers or the Angels Express. So we fund those every year, the Dodger Express, the buses, or Angels Express and the train. We'd love to help fund over here, maybe reduce some of your traffic so it gets people out of their cars, provides buses, trains, etc., things like that. So you just work with our staff like Ben Wong, Rainbow Union right there to help you do that. You've got right now in your account almost $500,000. You use it every year. You get a little more each year. You're looking at a street sweeper, which is great, a CNG, and they're now making electric ones or hydrogen fuel. You've got employee trip reduction. That's what I use at my city hall. Pays for my comp card every day. Alternative fuel station model for your CNG. You can get more for electric stations, things like that. We've got a great app. As I was coming here on the train, whenever I go through a city, it tells me the pollution in Alhambra. Actually, for some reason, Alhambra was half the pollution in my city just north, which was double, and I couldn't figure that out. So I'm going to find out tomorrow what was going on. But as I got here, your pollution was better than ours. So I'm not sure what's happening in South Pass today, but it wasn't good. So this is a great app, actually. Wherever you are and wherever you drive, it just pulls up the ozone in the air, particulate matter. And Mayor, council members, thank you. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Michael. I was talking to our fleet manager the other day, and he said that within 10 years, that we probably won't have any equipment or vehicles that they manage that is gas or diesel operated. So that is very significant. So we want to be a player, and we thank you very much for your, coming out to us and give all of us an education on how we should be better stewards of our air. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman.
But you also have to know also that Michael does not drive a car wherever he cannot, and he has a bicycle. He comes to r.a.g, which are in Monrovia, and he takes the Gold Line or any transportation to get to where he needs to go or recycle. So no matter where he is, he might run a few minutes late, he comes running in, changes hat off, and puts an eye on.
So I took the metro. I was curious which way to get here best from downtown LA. They had me for 2 or 3 buses. I didn't think I'd make it on time, so I just took the Metro link to the Pomona station. And that 2-mile ride only took me 13 minutes here. It was a little uphill.
Thank you, Michael. And you can stick around with me here if you want. Everybody will appreciate it. Okay, our last presentation is with the Metro Double Track and Quiet Zone Project. And with that presentation is Jay Thurman. So, Jay?
Hi, good evening, everybody, and thank you for having us here. It's interesting the comments that were just made by the other person because I'm here on the Metrolink project, and I first just wanted to ask everybody, because we have such a great turnout, in terms of the Metrolink commuter rail, I'm curious, how many people currently take Metrolink or have taken it in the past? It's pretty good. Awesome. Okay, thank you. So I'm here to give you a brief update on our Lone Hill to White Double Track project. So this project, I'm going to take you through these slides here. Let's see right there. So for those of you who don't know what Metrolink is a commuter rail operator, and we have the large locomotives. And in this area, of course, we have the San Bernardino line that goes from LA, El Monte, Baldwin Park, Covina, out through Laverne and San Dimas to Pomona. Claremont keeps going to Montclair all the way to San Bernardino. We also have lines that go to Riverside, Antelope Valley, Orange County, up to Ventura, Oxnard area. And Metro is one of the 5 members of the JPA, and we own the right-of-way that goes through San Dimas and Laverne. So this is the Metrolink commuter rail. And regarding the Metrolink San Bernardino line, it's the busiest line on the Metrolink system. It has about 10 or 11,000 boardings per weekday. Most of the line is single track, including the area in San Dimas and Laverne. So what is Lone Hill White Double Track project? This shows the corridor area, And it's basically a 4-mile double track project that starts in San Dimas at Valley Center and goes east through all of San Dimas and all of Laverne, and will terminate at, or just east of White Avenue where there's already double track. And then the double track will continue east all the way into Montclair, into San Bernardino County. There's 12 crossings in the corridor, 5 in San Dimas, 7 in Laverne, that will be upgraded to the latest safety standards and improved. And one of the best things about that is it would allow the city to qualify to apply to be a quiet zone. Sorry. So that is one of the big attributes of the project. As far as the benefits, when you have a lot of single track, you have a bottleneck and a choke point. So the double track operationally allows more flexibility, reliability for the trains to be on schedule. And it allows them to recover from delay, reduce overall travel time. It can accommodate potential additional service in the corridor. And it can improve safety along the right-of-way and at those crossings, and also give you a quiet zone opportunity. So environmentally, you may recall, we came before you a couple years ago almost now and presented to the cities of San Dimas and Laverne on our project. We did environmental clearance at 30% design, and that was generally well received by the communities. And we just went back to our board last month to officially certify the environmental document. And we qualified for a couple of statutory exemptions from a full-blown EIR, which are quoted there as follows. So at this point, we're planning to take the item to our board in the fall, probably in September, to award funds to program money for funnel design and make it shovel ready so that when we get construction dollars, we can compete for funding and actually build it. And as I mentioned, the quiet zone opportunity. Quiet zone is one or more crossings in which trains do not or would not have to be required to sound their horns. In case of emergency, they would. But generally, you make improvements to the crossing, such as raised center medians, quad gates at all 4 crossings, pedestrian gates, signalization, etc. That makes the crossing safer for vehicles than previously. And as a reward for that, the train doesn't have to blow its horn, which can provide immense quality of life benefits to residents that, say, live in the area and hear the horns late at night or in the morning or when you're trying to sleep. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. So residents have expressed interest in a quiet zone, and 12 crossings would be upgraded. And I think the part at the bottom says basically that the cities could choose to file a notice of intent to file a quiet zone at a later time once we've actually built the project. So that's the quiet zone opportunity that could be very beneficial.
Mark, why don't you explain what a quiet ready zone is?
Sure. It's actually Jay. That's okay.
Sorry, Jay.
Okay. So currently, as you probably all know, at a lot of your crossings, the trains blast through there and they're very loud horns. They have to approach on a quarter-mile approach to the crossing. I think it's like 3 short horns and 1 long horn, starting a quarter-mile before they hit the crossing, to let anyone, if there's a car stuck on the right-of-way, if there's a person walking, there are more and more people than ever with their phones and their headphones and their earbuds, and it's very tragic. People get hit by a train because they don't even hear it, because they're in their own little world, or their vehicles that are stuck on the crossings because they get high-centered or something. But it's a FRA federal regulation, you have to blow the horn, and it has to be a horn of a certain amount of decibels. And I'm sure you remember the horns when they had the BNSF locomotives a couple years ago, how loud those were. So even the regular trains are still pretty loud. And this is an exemption that the cities could get. And when we make the improvements, which are about $2 million a crossing on average, it could be more, it could be less, but it's about $2 million a crossing. So in your city, there's 7 crossings. 7 times 2 is about $14 million. It's a lot of money that you would otherwise have to do to upgrade the crossing, but you actually don't have to do it in this case because it's part of a larger regional double track project. It's incorporated into the project budget. So that's a big attribute. But basically, to answer your question, Mr. Mayor, once these improvements are made, then the crossing gets certified. You have to do these diagnostic tests, and things like that, and the FRA, and actually the state PUC has to bless it and sign off on it. But once it's all blessed, the quiet zone is established, and it means that the train horns do not have to blow on approach, which is a huge benefit for a lot of people. And it's not to say they wouldn't blow the horn if there's a shopping cart or a car stuck or a bunch of people just think it's fun to stand in front of the train and jump off at the last minute. They're still going to blow their horn, but it's radically reduced. They did this in Orange County, you may know, very successfully in about 8 or 9 cities in Orange County. And we have it a little bit in LA County, and it is spreading. There's actually a quiet zone in Pomona on the freight right away, the UP. And also they did it in Glendale successfully a couple of years ago. They're doing one in Burbank. Your friends in Baldwin Park are on the verge of doing one as well at 3 or 4 crossings. So there is growing momentum for it. And it's conceivable you could have a corridor from El Monte really to the county line, ultimately with quiet zone. So I hope I answered your question. I don't want to spend too much time. I know you're busy, but there is a quiet zone opportunity. So just to kind of wrap it up, we will return to our board. This is from a community meeting actually in San Dimas that we had a year or 2 ago. But we will return to our board in the fall, probably in September, to request programming of funds for final design. And with board approval, we'll entertain a consultant to start the final design work, which will start early next year. And we will do outreach to the cities of San Dimas and Laverne. And assumedly, if everybody is still supportive of the project and we can get funding for construction, we could start construction in 2022 or 2023. We could have it all built out by 2024 in a very optimistic scenario. And this is also done to be consistent with the Olympics. Metrolink does desire to add more service on the San Bernardino line because, of course, you're going to have a venue for mountain biking, I believe, which is very exciting. And I think there's interest in using Pomona Station as an opportunity to get people to and from the venue. So we're really excited, and I would just like to answer any questions you may have about the project, if any.
We're just very happy you're doing the $14 million improvements and not us.
Right, and it's funded through the project. So it's a great, there's a lot of other cities that clamor for quiet zones, but they don't have the money. Baldwin Park has had to cobble money together in different places just to do it on their own. So it's embedded into this project. So we think it's going to be supported by both communities.
Thank you, Jay.
We thank you for your
Very
support.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. When they came up a few years ago and we had meetings here in our city hall, we had a huge concern about another train coming through going in the opposite direction at the same time, and it would just add a lot more trains. And we already have a lot of horns blowing, and we really pushed, and successfully so, for quiet zones so they can have the trains, but they don't have to wake people up in the morning. And we've all heard those whistles at all hours except a few hours at night. So, Jay, thank you very, very much for that contribution.
Thank you.
Okay, item 5 is a new item. We've switched it so that if there's any upcoming events, we have found that some people announcing some really good events to nobody here. So anything that's upcoming that's open to the public, this is the time. If you'd like to come to the mic and please announce your what you're promoting, please. Vicky.
Well, Old Town Laverne did its first art walk a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday evening. We're going to be having another one on August 3rd. And it's just a fun time for everybody to get out into the community, walk around, look at the different art, go have dinner. So that'll be August 3rd from, gosh, I think it's 6 to 9. Sorry, I'm not sure about the time. But it'll be on Old Town Laverne's Facebook page, so if you want to follow Old Town Laverne, we'll post it there. Also, Beer Walk is coming up September 28th, so we look forward to that and look forward to the community coming out and joining us in that.
Thank you. Told you she was busy. Anybody
Well,
else?
it's all of downtown, not just me, but thank you.
You're here. Pam.
I just wanted to let everybody know that the next meeting of the Verne Coalition of Concerned Citizens, open to the public, is July 29th at the St. John's Episcopal Church, 7 p.m. Ready to come.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, anybody on Davis? Anybody have events or anything you want to promote? I happened to be at the concerts in the park last night, and we have 2 more coming up. They're great events. The next one is scheduled in 2 weeks from last night on July 28th. And then on August 11th is the last one with The Answer. So come early, but come all. The Police Officer Association is having 2 movie nights at Heritage Park for kids. They're G-rated movies. I've asked what the movies are. I haven't been told, but it's going to start this Sunday on the 21st, and 2 weeks later is going to be the last one. And I would like to ask everybody in this room tomorrow to please join me for a pint. Now, you may not know what that is, but I'm going to ask for a pint from you, because tomorrow I'm celebrating giving my 105th donation at the Red Cross right here in the room that you're sitting in. And I counted, and I figured that if everybody here donates a pint tomorrow, you will all equal what has taken me a lifetime to do. So I hope to see every one of you tomorrow morning, starting at 9 o'clock, helping those in need of blood. So thank you very much. Okay, we will move to item 6, consent calendar.
I'd like to have 2 items pulled,
Okay.
C and D.
Anything else? Okay, do we have a motion for the approval of the others?
Second.
Vote please. Thank you. We'll move to item C, planning commission appointments.
Well, the reason I have C and D pulled is I love to recognize people with achievements. And so, Dawn, I would like for you to recognize, if they're in the room, the 2 new commissioners taking the place. Since we recognize the 2 outgoing, if you could just see if they're in the room.
Well, I know one of them's here, and that is Jeff Allred. Jeff, can you please stand? Jeff at one time was our assistant city manager. He went off to do bigger and better things. Well, I don't know about bigger things, or better, but anyway, he left, and now he's always been a resident of Laverne, so that's a great. And Jason Lorge. Is Jason here? I didn't see him either, so.
Okay, then the next one would be, we could do together, we do the senior advisory board, if they happen to be in the room, Debbie Donovan, and Lori Missick.
And the alternate, that's going to be.
Yes.
So if we could please recognize Betty Donovan, Joyce Stewart, and Lori Missick.
Okay, just so they were introduced.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make a motion now to accept those 2 items.
Second.
One of the things that we just approved that I'm really proud of is a teen center. If there was anybody there at the concert in the park last night, you heard about a teen center that has been proposed, and there's a lot of work by Councilmember Carter and myself, along with staff, on creating the best teen center there is. We've visited other teen centers. We've taken the best of each, and we've incorporated in ours. It's going to be part of Lost Forest Park, so they can walk from the high school. And also, we're going to be getting the kids from Ramona over there. This teen center, we're asking for $3 million. When we met with this organization, they said that they are hoping to have the money by the end of the year. If that's the case, we will move up the construction of it and hopefully have it at least started sometime in 2021. So that's very exciting, 7,500 square foot building that is going to be spectacular for kids. It's going to include a baseball or a basketball stadium. We've got the pool over there. We've got other things over there. So it's really going to be a special place for our young people. So as a kid lover, this is very special to me, and I know it is to Robin as well. So we have just approved we have to have approval in order to go get the money. So that's what we did. Okay, we are going to be going in, and that's why most of you are here, and that is we're going to be talking about Sierra Golf Course. All of us on the dais, including Mira, were at last Monday night's meeting, and we saw how much involvement not only you have, but how important it is in our city, and that we already know. I can guarantee you that the 5 people that sit up here are as committed as you are. So because of this, we asked to put this on the agenda. And so it's on the agenda tonight. It went out, and so we are going to have a discussion tonight. We know there's lots of rumors out there. We heard a big one today, and it didn't come to fruition, but there's a lot of rumors out there. I think a lot of you heard some of these rumors. Tonight, we are here to provide facts. We're here to answer as many questions as we can. We're not going to be able to answer all the questions, I'm sure, but we're taking all the questions down. We have a new website section for questions and answers and information on this topic. So please continue to look at that and get accurate information. We are making no decisions tonight. There's really no decisions to be made, but we certainly want to have a discussion on this item. So with that, I would like to ask our Community Development Director, r.a.g, to come and make a presentation and provide us with information.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am going to provide a brief summary of the timeline of events that have occurred in the most recent activity that has happened regarding Sierra Country Club. First, I have been the city's project planner for the country club since 2000, so I'm very familiar with the course and the issues that have occurred on the course regarding the golf course operation or other issues over the past roughly 20 years. The course was originally built in 1978 as a 9-hole public course. It later switched to an 18 course and as a private country club. The property has been sold several times, including in 1988, 1993, 2009, 2014, and then most recently as 2016. In 2015, the council became aware of discussions between a private developer and the County of Los Angeles about a potential swap of Marshall Canyon Golf Course and Sierra Laverne, and where a developer would purchase Sierra Laverne, the privately held golf course in the city's boundaries, and swap it with LA County, who operates Marshall Canyon Golf Course, which is outside of the city's jurisdiction, so that way they could then potentially propose a development of the Marshall Canyon Golf Course. The Laverne community was concerned about that proposal, or that possibility even, and while there was no action that the city council was required to take at that time, the city council still directed staff to send a letter to the county indicating that we weren't supportive of that deal. And that subsequently ended those discussions between the developer and the county. Currently, our general plan has a designation of open space for the Sierra Laverne Country Club. That means that the site cannot be developed in any way, shape, or form besides agricultural, open space, golf course, obviously. But physical development cannot occur in an open space designated property under the current general plan. Additionally, our zoning has a designation of agriculture, which also has very limited development opportunities. So because of the general plan's designation, there's no development that can occur on that course today under the current regulations. As far back as August of 2016, when the city was aware that there was a new property owner that owned the course, we met with representatives of which are the current property owners. We met with representatives of the owners and explained that staff could not support development of the golf course, and said that we did not see a path forward of the development of the golf course, especially with the current zoning and general plan designations, and with what we knew that the concerns of the residents in North Laverne were because of the discussions about the Marshall Canyon deal. So since August of 16, staff has been consistent and committed to sharing that information, that position, with anybody that ever inquired about the potential for developing. That's the Sierra Laverne Country Club. In August of 2018 is when we became aware of marketing material released by the Hoffman Group on behalf of the current owners, marketing the site for sale. And on the front cover indicating that there was a residential development opportunity. Within a day or two, we reached out to the Hoffman Group, we sent them a letter, and wanted to make clear that that was not true, that the current zoning does not allow for development, and that city staff was not supportive of any changes to the current general plan and zoning designations. The Hoffman Company assured us that that was one of the ways that they were marketing the site, but that one of their prime goals was to try to find a buyer for the site that would continue to operate the golf course. But you know, obviously it was for sale, and whoever would be interested in buying it was out of their control. Once that material was released, we started receiving contacts from developers and people asking about the potential for development. Again, staff was very consistent and always being sure to inform any developer that the city did not see a path forward for developing the course, and that our primary objective was to try to find a way for the course to remain open as a golf course. In December of 2018, the ownership group notified the city that they were going to start proceedings, the bankruptcy proceedings, and that they expected to close the course in several months. We responded that we were willing to meet to discuss opportunities and did not receive any follow-up information or any contact from them after our response to that letter in December. In January, however, we did meet with representatives of Western Golf. So let me give you a little bit of a background on the ownership history and how the players all are part of it. It's a little confusing. So in 2016, the current owners, Sol Long-Term LLC, purchased the property from Zeruka Investments. Zeruka purchased the property roughly a year and a half before in 2014 with the intention of selling the property after purchasing it. Mr. Zeruka is in the business of banquet facilities, and he has Wedgwood Banquets, which has operated the banquet facilities and wedding facilities at Sierra Laverne since 2014, his purchase of the property. When he sold the property, he signed a 3-year lease to run the operations for the golf course for the new owners, as the new owners do not operate golf courses. So Mr. Zeruka has operated the golf course since 2014, but his lease agreement with the property owner expires today, July 15th. Mr. Zeruka informed the owners that he had no interest in extending the lease or signing a new lease because the golf course was not profitable as an operation. And he had told them that a while back. So the ownership reached out to Western Golf to come in and basically study the operations over a 6-month period to figure out if they could find a path forward of operating the golf course. In which case, Western Golf, which operates, I think, 30 or more courses over the country, would assume operations after today with a new lease with the property if they thought there was a way forward to be profitable. So staff met with representatives of Western Golf in January of this year and learned of their plan and learned of what they were looking to do and had the initial discussions that the city was open to have further discussions with them on what the city might be able to help with in order to help them make the course a profitable course. It was a positive meeting, and we've had good contacts with Western Golf since then when we've had a need to be in contact. However, Western Golf never responded to us with a plan or a request for how the city might be and help out with the operations of the course. So we put that hand out there and said we were willing to talk, and there's nothing came of it after then. Because of this and other talks on social media, we understood that the January 22nd City Council meeting was going to be well attended, not as well as tonight, but there was a full room that was here to discuss the Sierra Laverne issue. At that time, staff presented an update, just as I am now, that informed the council and the community of what we knew at that time. There was no action at that time for the city to take, similar to tonight. There's no application before you. There's no motion or any decision to be made this evening. Again, a follow-up meeting was held at the next meeting on February 4th, where there was more questions and answers, and again, no action by the city council. February 6th, the city received a letter from Soul Land Trust indicating that they would be selling or closing the property at that point, or in several months. We subsequently learned that the lease with Zaruka was through July 15th. So we knew that the course wasn't going to close before today, but that unless there was another operator that came in that was willing to sign a lease to operate a golf course there, that the golf course operations would cease. So one of the potential developers that was interested in pursuing maybe purchasing the property, remember it's still up for sale, was New Urban West. And that is the group that initially put out a letter that looked like it was coming from the ownership group to invite the neighbors to a community meeting because the ownership insisted that they handle the communications early on, as New Urban West was simply a prospective buyer of the property and had no financial interest or ability to do anything besides they just wanted to reach out to the community to hear what the community had to say about the property and golf operations and what they thought might be potential for development there. So the first meeting was overwhelmingly held or attended, and where New Urban's West plan was to hold smaller community meetings for better engagement. So they regrouped and subsequently scheduled 7 more community meetings at our community center here, for people that were interested, and had these meetings over a course of about a month. To date, staff is unaware if New Urban West is still interested in pursuing or purchasing the property, but they were the group that was just one of the groups probably looking at potential purchase of the property. Now we're more recent events. In June 3rd of this year, we were approached by a construction company that had said that they were hired to put up chain link fence to secure the site. Our department provided them with a response that any proposed for temporary fencing at that time, especially with the scale of what they were talking about, this was a complete enclosure of the golf course, would require precise plan review. It would basically a development review application through our department, which goes through a process and is held and heard before our development review committee for determination on the appropriateness of that fence. To date, there's been no further contact by that fencing company, and no application has been filed to be processed to consider fencing in the entire course. Then a day later, we received notice the gazebo was being removed at the wedding facility. So we visited the site with the building inspector and issued a stop work because there was some minor construction occurring there that did not have appropriate permits. What that was Wedgwood Weddings, which is the Zaruka firm that does the banquet facilities. They were replacing the gazebo with a smaller one. I believe the previous one had some termite damage. So they were simply removing it and rebuilding a new one. So they obtained the proper permits the following day. I was able to have a conversation with Mr. Zaruka to find out his long-term goals on operation there at the course. He indicated before he sold the property to the current owners, he had signed a long-term lease agreement with Wedgwood Weddings that would ensure at least another 20 years of operation. He indicates that he's had successful wedding and banquet facility operations in other golf courses that have been closed, and if the course was closed, it didn't concern him because he remains profitable in that business at that location and continues to do, and believes he can continue to do so. So for the time being in the foreseeable future, we expect that the banquet facilities and wedding facilities will continue to operate as they have been. So on June 6th, in order to be proactive, our city attorney's office sent a letter to the current owners again, expressing the process in order to do temporary fencing as it been inquired by the contractor, as well as listing out the areas of our municipal code and other documents that we believe have authority for us to require a level of maintenance to the golf course. We can't require them to continue to irrigate everything, but there are certain things that we can do under our current code. So we feel that there is enough language in our current code that we can make sure that it's relatively kept up and kept clear, debris, trash, trespassing, etc. It won't be manicured like a golf course is. We can't require them to do that, and we also can't require them to keep a golf course open. It is a private property and a private business, and just like any other business, they have the right to close especially if they're not profitable. The city can't force a business to stay open. After that, on June 17th, is when we were informed that the temporary mesh orange fencing was being installed behind the homes along Sherwood Drive. Roughly between 1,600 and 1,700 lineal feet of fencing was installed over a 2-day period. The building inspector did stop work on that fence work, as again, we identified that the process for temporary fencing, whether it be under 3 feet in height or over 3 feet in height, required a precise plan review application because of the length and the extent of the fencing that we understood that they were going to be installing. So that remains an issue between our city attorney's office and the property owners attorneys. They have been speaking. The fence has not been removed. We've asked them to remove it. So the city prosecutor now will be proceeding in order to have the fence that was installed to be removed. And so we will be working to try to get that achieved in the coming days. Then on June 25th is when the members of the golf course were informed officially that the golf course would cease operations on July 21st at 5 p.m. So with that, as the mayor mentioned, I think it's up now. It might not be up till tomorrow morning. The city is updating the city's website to where there'll be a one-stop place to get all information regarding Sierra Laverne, but also where we will list a series of questions and answers, the ones that we've been hearing the most, as well as a place that we can continue to update that as we hear more questions that we have responses to. In addition to that, there will be a way for people to submit their concerns, including photos of things that they witness out at the site. The community is our eyes and ears on the course. There's roughly 200 homes that back up directly adjacent to the golf course, and they have better views than what we can see from here at City Hall. So this portal we asked the community to use because several different departments are being taxed with a lot of calls and questions and concerns, and we want to have a single place to collect those, to log those, and for us to be able to provide appropriate responses on a timely manner. But it's important for us to try to utilize this tool to help our jobs be easier so we can have a better response, because with a lot of different emails to different people, nobody knows who's getting what questions and who's answering what questions. So I think I covered most of the questions that are out there in my presentation. I'm going to just look real quick. Again, nobody has filed an application to develop the project or the site. The site remains for sale. What's simply happened is the golf course operations are ceasing because that lease agreement is up, and nobody's interested in signing a new lease to continue to operate a golf course there. And we've been consistent in informing developers and any resident that inquired. The city is not supportive of development on the golf course. We're telling developers that we don't see a way that they would be successful if they wanted to apply for such a permit to change the general plan, to change the zoning. At the same time, that means that we can't stop them from applying for such a permit. However, that permit, if they did apply, would take several years to process in full environmental review and still ultimately be a decision of the city council to determine to change the zoning for a development of the site. Again, which we've expressed that we cannot support. So again, to reiterate, there are no decisions to be made tonight. This is information only because of the community interest. And really encourage everybody to use the city's website starting tomorrow to make us aware of those concerns that they might have, including photos, which would be helpful as well. With that, I'd be happy to answer questions that the council may have. And then after that, once the community speaks, if the council directs me to answer any of those questions, I'll be happy to do so as well.
Thank you, Rick. Well, I'm sure there are questions, so who wants to start? Go ahead.
Okay.
Could you please make sure you turn on your mic?
Mine's on.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
I'll move it closer.
Get close.
Okay, the other night when we were at the meeting, all five of us were there, there were some questions I heard that I'd like to ask you because I wrote them down. I took notes that night. And some of their questions were questions I have too, if you could answer them. You touched on them, but I'd like further detail. One of them is, why can't the city write a new resolution about the landscape at Sierra Laverne so that they have to keep it up?
Okay, so the golf course was under an operation of a conditional use permit that was approved in 1996. So in hindsight, we would have a lot more teeth and requirements in that conditional use permit for the upkeep of the golf course. However, that CUP is only tied to the business. So if the golf course is no longer in operation, that resolution doesn't matter. And so in addition, the city can't just go in and modify a resolution without further discussions with the property owner and kind of concurrence really, because they are operating, they were operating a business that was in compliance with that resolution that the city approved. So they weren't in violation of anything. But now that the golf course will be closed, the resolution doesn't matter.
A question on that. I read the CUP, and on there, there's one paragraph that says that this will be maintained as a golf and a clubhouse, and with the restaurant. So if one isn't working, then wouldn't they all have to go?
So the
How can we keep
interpretation
half
on
of it
that,
open?
right? So that was actually not the planning commission resolution, but that came out of a condition, the mitigation measures by the city council in the 80s when the course was first built. Or late 70s, I guess. And what it really was saying was that the country club, with the golf course had to be in operation, I'm getting it wrong now. That the banquet facilities could continue to operate without the golf course. It was not reliant upon that. So that didn't, again, we cannot require a business to stay in operation. It's a private business on private property. We can't simply do that.
Why don't we go around, if you don't hit my questions, and I'll ask them. I want to give you all a chance to ask questions.
I'm listening. I just want to make sure that the most important, excuse me. I just want to make sure that if and when this does happen, that, like you said, that we need to police this, extremely police this place because of the fact that it's such a precious area for most of the homeowners, including all of us. And to make sure that we enforce the code, to keep it at least clean and neat and at least green belts. My concern is they have, like Councilmember Carter said, was the fact that they'll keep the clubhouse open. On the back section of the clubhouse, they have all those greens, and for the weddings, it's like, how are you gonna function that? And my biggest concern too is the fact that we have the ponds and the natural runoff, and how is that going to, they must have to keep those things intact so that, because there's natural runoff, there's natural water, there's natural floodplains, and it's an odd course. It's not like a Marshall Canyon where you have terrace, but I want to make sure that we have the teeth to make sure we support that, the code enforcement. That's so important.
We do, and that's why we've been proactive with our city attorney's office and putting them on notice before anything's even changed, that to let them know what our expectations are in terms of what we'll be monitoring. Again, we can't get on site whenever we want to, just because we want to go out there. We have to rely on the eyes and ears of our neighbors and to use that to our advantage. But when there is a complaint, if there is a safety issue, we can go on site. We're just not going to be up there every day. There will be extra code enforcement patrolling the general area to see what can be seen from the viewpoints on public right-of-ways, and making sure the parking lot of the clubhouse stays up to date. Mr. Zaruka informed me, I haven't seen the lease, I don't know if it's to be true, but he said that in his lease agreement, that the property owners are required to maintain the fairways and the greens that are visible from the banquet facilities, so that way those don't die. So what that means and where that is, I have no idea. To what extent, I don't know. That's an agreement, in the lease agreement between the property owner and the business owner. So the city doesn't have any way to enforce that either. Like I said, we have our minimum standards that our city attorney has made them aware of, and we will be making sure we know how important of an issue this is for the community. So we are doing everything we can in our policing power to make sure that we will be addressing those as soon as we can.
Another issue is the fencing, the orange fencing. I mean, we need to, obviously, the problem is with this particular individual, if you do one thing, then he does another, and that's the issue that I have, because if you research the individual, it's not a real good past. It's acquiring and blighting, except for the ones that are, you know, with Bobby Heath and the Western Golf. It's a different situation when they have a performing golf course and they bring it up to snuff. But that's my concern. I want to make sure, though, that we put teeth in that to get that orange fencing down. My concern is what are they going to try to put up besides that, you know, once if this goes to fruition. So
we put them on notice, we stopped work, so that would be an easy thing for our city prosecutor to move forward if they did ignore those statements in our process that we've outlined for them. I would also say that the property is in an LLC, and it's a Delaware LLC, so we actually don't have confirmation of all the owners of the site. We're aware of the rumors, we're aware of who most likely is a part of that partnership and the past activities. We've investigated those, we've talked to staff in other cities to find out what their process has been, where they were successful in doing things, when they wish they would have done something different, so that we as a team can be prepared to address concerns when they happen in the future. But I just want to make it clear that it is an LLC partnership, and we're not aware of, we have no way of knowing who all the partners in that LLC are.
well, and also on that note too, I want to make sure that please, residents, get a hold of us. If you can't get a hold of somebody, say, get a hold of us personally. I know that people are getting a hold of us. That's very important. That is my area too. I live up there. I jog it almost every day. It's very important to keep that thing like it is. Let's try it the best we can. It's a difficult situation. The individual that was on Channel 7, which, by the way, thank you. The residents did a great job on that too, by the way. Thank you very much. Again, united front. We must stay united. It's very important. The individual that we're dealing with, the gentleman that owns it, just a little background that I was doing some research on. He's had over 44 companies, LLCs. Right now he has 14 active companies. And if you anybody can go research. It's just an interesting mix, and we need to all stick together, make sure we notify the city, make sure that we police it, make sure we put teeth in our code enforcement to try to make it whatever we can, the easiest way possible to make this thing move forward.
And use the website for it, please.
And use the website, definitely. Thank you.
I would just say that my biggest concern is fire. We have an area that is adjacent to the golf course that hasn't burned in 50 years. Right now, the weeds on 11 are growing up over the side of it. I keep an eye on it because I've been a member there for 19 years. They took my home away. I'm not real happy with what's happened so far. I can tell you that the city, as a team, has worked diligently to keep this person at bay. And I hope you understand, Charlie.
Your microphone. Like they can't hear you in the other room.
Microphone. So repeat everything you said.
And I want you to understand, the city is not lying idle. We're doing everything that we can do to keep this person from giving anyone the idea that this can be developed. Now, the people that I spoke with 2 meetings that were the ones that held the meetings individually with you for, I think they had 7 to 10 meetings. They wanted to put in a 9-hole golf course and then some commercial area. And that was their plan in order to provide you with the 9-hole golf course. This is, we're going to have people coming to look at that property to try and develop. But I can tell you, as a city council and as a city staff, we are not going to relent. We are not going to change the zoning, and we're going to maintain what we can maintain so that we don't have more construction in that area.
One of the things that I think is important for everybody in this room to know is how difficult the process will be for anybody who wants to develop this property. I can guarantee you at this point in time, and I mean, I'll go to my grave saying no development up there, but I want staff to please explain to everybody how difficult a process it would be, just so they understand it. Right?
Sure. So obviously there's multiple applications that would need to be filed to be able to subdivide, to construct, to change the general plan designation, the zone change. But along all that comes in a full environmental impact report, which is provided by a third-party company that the city would contract with, but the developer would pay for. And that would look at all the environmental constraints and what a project and developing of that land might do for the natural environment as well. Obviously, there's no project being proposed, so I can't tell you what the impacts would be, but there would be significance. There are 2 blue line streams that make up part of the project site. We know that there's some springs, there's some hydrology issues, and all those would have to be fully vetted out through a third party and verified by us and our engineers and our staff in order for it to even be considered. We would hold multiple public workshops prior to it ever coming to a planning commission or city council meeting during a public hearing, so that the community would have opportunities to learn about it and provide their feedback to the applicant and staff, so those could all be incorporated as much as possible into a proposed project. But as I mentioned before, the city can't halt somebody from filing an application to do so. And if they do file an application, we do have to process it in some due diligence. But the environmental impact report and those type of applications and the scope of a project of that size, I would again estimate that it would take at a minimum 2 years to process. Wow.
Okay, now one question I didn't hear is, well, it's kind of twofold. What is the city doing to fight the owner from doing what he's done to other golf courses to do, such as the Verne they've been putting manure out there, all these terrible things to discourage homeowners so that they want to convince us to change the zoning. So that would be the first question. And then is there any way the city can take over the property to maintain it as open space? Those are the 2 questions.
Okay. Well, the first portion, I would say, I'd reiterate, we've been as proactive as we can to put them on notice of what the city's expectations are for the property, including issuing stop work. There's nothing for the city to fight the property owner on today because there's no violations, with the exception of the orange fence that we are addressing. So we aren't proactive. They are still a property owner that have property rights. And there have been instances where that ownership group has filed suits against the cities for overstepping their authority and doing things. So the city's we're being very cautious and specific in how we respond and how we address potential future issues. But it'd be speculative for me to say what they would be breaking the law if it hasn't been broken yet. So we're doing everything we can to put them on notice that we are watching, and we expect them to maintain the course to some degree, and that we will be notifying them if we feel that they're out of line.
Eric, with that one, and I'll remind you of the second question in a minute. So with that, do they own the property all the way to the street? Because there are weeds growing outside along Golden Hills.
They do not. The portion that is adjacent to Wheeler Avenue is owned by both LA County Department of Water and Power, as well as Metropolitan Water District. The big overhead transmission lines that you see there, that's obviously owned by Department of Water and Power. To the south of there's a strip, I think it's 80 feet wide, that included Metropolitan trunk line that comes from Live Oak Reservoir. So those, they have a lease and they use the ability to use that for the golf course operation, but the property owners do not own the land underneath that, and their responsibility to cut those weeds down along Wheeler Avenue is not the golf courses. It would be DWPs and MWDs. We've already reached out to them and asked them to address it. I didn't confirm if it was on the annual weed abatement list, but I would imagine that it would be. I saw it myself. But we are trying to get those weeds along the Wheeler cut, to have them addressed. but it's not the golf course property owner's responsibility.
Okay, it's even on Golden Hills though, going towards it.
So on Golden Hills, at the top north end, that would be the golf course property. The portion of Birdie where it serpentines and curves, that's also DWP and Metropolitan for the most of it. So, there's, we could put a map up that shows where the property lines are, but in any case, we put DWP and MWD on notice that we expect them that they will be having to do more maintenance on their land than they have in the past because the majority of it was being taken care of by the golf course operator.
Okay, good. And then the last
Yeah,
question?
sure. Yeah, so the property's for sale. The city could potentially buy it. We understand that they might be asking as much as $10 million. So obviously the city does not have the resources to purchase the property outright in the open market. And we've had the question on what about eminent domain? Cities have eminent domain rights, and we do. And one of the things you can use eminent domain for is to acquire property for open space. So that would be a process that would be a path forward. However, eminent domain still requires you to pay fair market value for the property, so it's not that you get it for free. And most cases, such as we just experienced our neighbors to the east of us, Claremont, when they use eminent domain, it typically ends in a lawsuit that ends up costing millions of dollars to defend. Even if we are successful, we still have to pay those millions of dollars. So even using the eminent domain route, we would still expect it to cost upwards of $5 to $10 million to try to acquire it after a lengthy legal battle and lawyer fees. So we, as staff, do not feel that there's a viable option for the city to acquire the property at this time because we simply don't have the resource to do so.
I'd like to add on to that because the process, there's two-pronged. The first part is a right to take, and that is a challengeable action. Council could take a resolution that they believe they have the right to take. But that would obviously lead to a legal challenge. That's the challenge that Claremont experienced as it related to Golden State Water. They went through that experience. It cost them over $6 million, and they lost that battle. And they had to pay the other attorney's fees. So just because the community believes there's a right to take, it comes up to a judge and a jury to make that determination on whether that can occur. So it's not a guarantee. It's a very lengthy process. We do know that the attorney's firm that represented Golden State in Claremont is representing Chino Hills, is representing their property in Chino Hills. So he is connected in with that attorney's firm as well, so that is concerned.
Good, thank you.
Eric, could you put that map up on the website?
Of course.
For the MWD, or not MWD, but the Department of Water and Power.
Shows where the property lines are.
Yeah, because it will give them an
Absolutely.
I want to make one thing real clear too, that Mr. Sheard mentioned the Sierra Laverne Marshall Canyon swap. And as to say that, as Mr. Rosales stated, and Mr. Kendrick and also Robin Carter, that I made the motion to cancel that and to rescind that so that we wouldn't do a swap, but also the whole council approved that. So whether it be Marshall Canyon or Sierra Laverne, there is no development on those properties. And that's what the council's going to stick for. So we're going to stand by our stand by our city. So you guys know we've got
Thank you.
Any other questions, Eric? Thank you, sir. One of the things that we feel is important to everybody is, one is accurate information. And so, there is no active development on this property. We have also learned, everybody in this room, that this is not something that we have just started. It is something that's been ongoing with communication between staff, specifically our attorney, our city manager, and r.a.g, who you just heard, who's been involved in this course for 20 years, and that's about the length of time he's been here. So he's been taking an active role. He was born and raised in this city. He lived in North Laverne, so grew up there. So he is certainly familiar with that area and as well as the golf course. So he's the right person to have on board. and to be a leader in this effort. So there's communication going back and forth between our city and the representatives of the company saying what we expect. And so that is something that no other city has done, but we feel it's important to kind of set us hopefully up for success. And we've heard how costly the city ownership of it through eminent domain. If we even decided to do it, that it would cost millions of dollars, and it's funds that we just don't have. We've also talked about the policing effort and the website and getting information. I've done a number of presentations throughout the community on other things, and I will tell you, one of the things that I have learned is your eyes are as important as everybody else's eyes. You see, if you're living on that golf course or you're up there all the time, you see more than anybody else does. And so you have to be part of the process about making this successful in our city. So please be active, be diligent, and when you see something, say something. So, that's it for now. So at this time, I'm going to ask residents to, if additional questions, if you have them, again, we may not be able to have the answers tonight, but those answers will be found. They'll be posted on the website. We'll do everything we can to get you the information, and as well as, I think that's it. So at this time, I'm going to ask anybody that would like to speak, please do so. I have a speaker card. There are speaker cards. Just a minute, there's one speaker that I have that's going to be first because they put a card in. So, and that is Patrick Valdez. If you can please start off. Thank you, Patrick, for doing this. You don't have to fill a speaker card out before you come up, but if you can grab one from the podium, or you can come up and get one from our city clerk, if you can just fill it out and give it to us, we appreciate it. Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Mr. City Attorney, and City staff. My name is Pat Valdez. I live in the city of Laverne. I live up on Sherwood Drive. My wife and I purchased our home in 1990. About 5 years ago, my late father-in-law, they were getting at a time in their age where they began to become ill. Luckily, I had my neighbor Sue was able to find my father-in-law a home. They lived 5 blocks from us, 5 houses up from us, but sold them on that house with the view of the golf course. Okay, so unfortunately, he's passed away. My mother-in-law still lives there, and now she's faced with this orange fence. It's a shame. It's a shame that where we are today, and the fact that we have 2 gentlemen that are business owners that they can give a hoot about this community. The only thing they care about is lining their pockets with money.
Right.
And that's very unfortunate. And I'm proud to see a bunch of Laverne residents that are here that are willing to fight. Because what I can tell you is that initially the coalition and the neighbors that you talk to began as very concerned neighbors, but now it's becoming neighbors of anger, of where we stand in a community. Now, we've talked about a few things. The coalition talks about traffic and schools and how we as a community are going to be affected. But one of the things that we haven't discussed, and I can assure you what's going to happen, is that if we start building houses, if we start building condominium complexes up there, what we are going to struggle is crime, inevitable, is going to rise.
Yeah.
There's no doubt, I can assure you that crime will rise in our community. Now, I'm going to read something to you, and it's no disrespect to our law enforcement officers, because I can tell you they do a great job. Every time that my family and I lay down our heads at night, we go to bed peacefully knowing that we're going to be safe. But I Googled today because I started doing some research. And I typed in Google, is Laverne, California safe? And again, fellas, I don't mean any disrespect. I don't respect to you or your chief, but I'm going to read this to you. And I think it should be concerning to all of us, is the fact that the chance of becoming a victim of either violent or property crime in Laverne is 1 in 38 based on FBI crime data. Laverne is not, I repeat, Laverne is not one of the safest communities in America. Relative to California, Laverne has a crime rate that is higher than 69% of the state's cities and towns of all sizes. where I'm going with this is that I can see us eventually here, we are gonna have litigation against these two gentlemen that are trying to come out here and do an okey-doke up at this golf course.
Right.
So we are going to spend money, our money, your money, trying to fight these guys in the golf course. By the time, based on this article, we should be hiring more law enforcement officers to cut our crime, because I want this article to read that we are the safest community in the city of Laverne and Los Angeles County and the state of California. So, I apologize again for throwing you guys under the bus that way, but I think it needs to be said. As you can tell that I'm very passionate about this because I truly care about this community. The reason why we moved here in the first place was because of the fact that it was a small, quiet neighborhood. And we're very happy here, we continue to be happy here. The one thing I'm going to point out to you as Mr. City Manager, most people don't know, I've worked for 3 different cities, okay? And what people don't understand city politics is you are the man. You have a big voice, you are the voice of our community. What we are asking you as our city manager, okay, is to be our leader. We want you.
If you can address your comments to the city council.
Okay, I'm sorry, so what I expect then from not only our city manager, from all of you, I want you to be relentless. I want you to be proactive. I want you to every day look for avenues for us to defeat this measure. Because that's what we should do. I don't want to be reactive where he counterpunches and he's one step ahead of us every single day. We need to be the opposite. We need to be the guy that's out there punching and be on the forefront. Okay, thank you very much.
There's going to be a number of people that wish to speak on this, as you should. So I'm going to ask if you can just keep your comments as brief as possible, so everybody gets a chance to speak, not just some of the people. So next up, Steve Sipp. Where are you, Steve? There you are.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, everybody. I just wanted to talk about this. I moved to the city 33 years ago. And as soon as I moved into the Lewis homes on Via Arroyo. Beautiful, mountains beautiful. Never developed up there, the whole 9 yards. 2 years later, Lewis Homes buys the hill, and they're developing 300 and some odd homes. So a bunch of family members in our area started this same fight, and we beat it down from 300 and some houses to 166. So it's kind of like here we are again. What I heard tonight over here was fantastic. I was welcome to hear it. All I can ask from you guys on this is, this guy has been, he's shown his colors, what he did in Escondido. He's shown his colors, what he did in Chino Hills.
Yep.
We have to stay ahead of the guy. We have to anticipate his moves. We can't be reactionary. We have to be ahead of him, having the laws in place so that we can fend him off. The one big question I have, and if you can answer it later or whatever, is they're notorious for going in and ripping out the sprinklers and just letting everything die. Do we have any grounds to do anything to keep that from happening? I guess they got to kind of maintain the golf course, but that seems to be the first thing they're going to do is sell the sprinklers on eBay. So the only thing I'd like to do is get that answered. And for you guys, I'm really happy to hear that you guys are trying to stay ahead of this. Just stay transparent. The coalition group that I joined, that I really don't know many of the people on it, we're going, I've met a few times. Let us be your army, and we'll help do whatever. I have a son that lives on the course, and I'll put cameras up there and take pictures of everything on the 17th hole, but let's stay ahead of it. Let's be proactive.
Thank you, Steve. Nancy Matthews.
Good evening. I just have a couple of questions. So the weeds on Golden Hills, that's the golf course's property that on the street side of that fence? Because I called code enforcement the other day, well, actually 2 days in a row, requesting somebody to come clean up that weed problem. They never called me back. I asked who was in charge of that. Of course, they didn't call me back, but I do have to say they did clean it up, so I was happy about that. So kudos to whoever did that. The other question I have is on the Marshall Canyon Trail. That goes up onto the golf course. So will that part of the trail be cut off to us, or what?
we'll get answers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's true. We take a walk up.
Gail Carr.
I moved here 39 years ago, thinking that we had the best city council.
Can't hear you.
in the City and California. And tonight, it's been proven to be true. I appreciate what you said this evening. I appreciate your commitment to what you're wanting to do, because that's what we want you to do. And I know you listen to the community. I want to tell the people that are in this room that we can be the biggest help to you of anybody. We may give you a lot of work, but if we don't speak out and give you a complaint when we have it, if we just call in and leave it and don't put it in writing, that's our fault. If we have a concern that we have that needs addressed, whether it has to do with weed abatement, fire protection, insects, whatever it may be, everybody in this room better just put it down in paper and make sure it gets to the planning department, which is where the complaints go. Put it in writing, and you guys will have to follow it up and make sure that it's done. The other side of that coin, too, is, though, that as long as we're complaining and you're aware of those things, you have the ability to go in and put a lien on the property if the property owner will not fix it. Those liens could be so expensive after a while that you may end up with property because they don't pay their bills. And you say, pay your bill or we're taking the property. And that's the way we can get it. So I would suggest everyone in this room, and I know a lot of you live right around the golf course, I do. There's 200 houses that live right up against the golf course, and you go out every morning, and if you see there's a problem, put it in writing and give it down to the planning department, and they'll have someone go out and take care of it. And if the property owners complain about it, say, I'm sorry, we're just doing what the community requires of us. And you'll have backing then to know that we're there to help you and to support you. And they will either learn that they got to keep it clean themselves, or the city's going to clean it and charge them for it. It may be cheaper if they keep it clean themselves. So I encourage everybody just to go home, look in your backyard, and visit City Hall with a piece of paper and let you know where the problems are.
Thank you, Gail. Ann Berry.
Good evening. A couple things. Eric mentioned that the attorney and I think city staff had let the owner know what the issue, where the boundaries are. The minimum that he has to do, what's required according to codes or whatever. If we are the eyes and the ears, all these people around the golf course, number one would be really helpful if everyone here knew what are the requirements, fencing, whatever. But if we had those minimums, the information as well, then we'll know that is a problem, and then we can get on it. If we're not sure, it's like, oh, should I call, should I not call, and then we lose some time there.
I would rather you call and it's not a problem than not call.
Right, definitely, but I think it would be even better if we knew. You want to say something?
I'm waiting and I'll.
Okay. The other thing was, Eric was talking a little bit about I heard the word current a lot, and that makes me really nervous when I hear the current plan, the current zoning, the current whatever, because it kind of implies it's just right now. But the general plan, the new one that's in the works. Yeah, and I think there's a meeting on that this week. There's been meetings on that. I really want to make sure that the new general plan addresses this firmly. That's not something that gives him some wiggle room, because this guy's perfectly happy with waiting for a long time. So that would just be my recommendation.
Thank you, Dan.
If I could, Mr. Mayor, there were a couple questions about the reporting, and that is true. On the front page of the portal, we will be putting up what are the general guidelines of what is a code violation. So it gives you some idea how many feet the weeds need to be or what level of clearance. So it gives a general idea. And to the mayor's point, it doesn't necessarily mean don't express whatever the concern is, but at least you'll have an idea of what we'd be looking for. The other thing that we're really encouraging on this is that, and the portal will ask for a photo. This is giving us an administrative record as well, so it's very important that we push all information through that. The other thing is, and we want to get as much through that as possible, but we may not get back to everybody with a personal response. I know that's unique, we usually try and do that, but if we get inundated and we're trying to do the work, we may not get back to you. We may just respond and react to whatever it is we're receiving. So we ask for your consideration in that as well.
Thank you. Robin Walker, if I can. Yeah.
Okay, so I am going to read a statement that, and I appreciate everything I heard today. I'm thrilled to hear that it sounds like everybody's on the same page. I've been kind of seeing me a few times now, unfortunately, but I'm here with a heavy heart because July 21st is coming and I'm scared of what's coming before us. But I'm here to present these petitions, almost 600 petitions in a week, a handful of us, and then of course at the meeting gathered almost 600 petitions. So,
could you speak into the mic?
Okay, all right. And so the petition, let's see. So the petition are signatures from Laverne residents regarding the possibility of the landowner of Sierra Laverne wanting to rezone the land. The petition reads, quote, preserve Sierra Laverne Golf Course, keep our open space, enforce and update our ordinances and codes around the entire city, do not rezone Sierra Laverne Golf Course property, preserve our wildlife habitat. We, the undersigned, are concerned citizens that urge our mayor, city council, city manager, city attorney to defend our current zoning on Sierra Laverne Golf Course, designated as open space. We are able to get these signatures in only 1 week's time. The residents are deeply concerned for their property values, their serene and quiet surrounding, wildlife habitats, traffic, and of course the intrusion of a development of this size due to our city. I was here 7 months ago warning the city what was coming our way. We have the benefit of seeing the landowner in various news articles and things that he's done in the past. And the petition was started to inform all of you about what the voters want. I hope that as well, these well-made plans of the developer that will eventually might be presented to you, that you remember the mission statement that in part for City of Laverne, quote, to preserve our hometown charm and quality of life, end quote. Also, on the city webpage, it reads on the strategic values under sound leadership, that Laverne leadership presupposes the quality of trustworthiness, integrity, honest representation by all elected and appointed city officials while maintaining transparency through the decision making. The impact would be different for everyone. For me, it would impact my value, my home value, because I will no longer have a view. I would incur cost on possible fencing and security. The noise, the dust, the constant nuisance and construction directly behind us, if you were to rezone. For others, they would lose a cul-de-sac that they dreamed of living on and purchase that home. For some, it would be Wheeler would become louder, busier, more dangerous. For others, the city, their small, light traffic neighborhood that was originally intended for just that neighborhood would become a major thoroughfare for another neighborhood. It also would impact our fire, police departments, adding to their call and response times. Our schools would be impacted greatly and some would lose out on opportunities because it's just too big. And Laverne will have given a bit of its soul for money. One reason our property values here in Laverne stay consistent because of the lower inventory. A development of this magnitude would change the market in Laverne forever. People like myself move here for the surrounding cities and if we give in to the rezoning, I personally believe the essence of Laverne would change. I ask that you stand strong and get in front of this and tell him no zoning, which it sounds like you are, but I have to say this for my own peace of mind. I ask that you protect the residents from any harassment. We're in the driver's seat. We've had this land designated as the A1 agriculture for more than 30 years. I don't know how many years, but I know a long time. And I think the Laverne should decide what's best for Laverne and not a developer. So, something came to my attention, so here's a question. Country Club residents on the street Country Club, somebody mentioned that at the time that they purchased this house, that they were asked to give up, or it was part of an agreement to give up a bit of their property with a guarantee for the open space behind them. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that, but that was brought up, so I'm speaking for another resident, that when she purchased the home, however many years ago, that was part of it. And then also, we didn't talk about ponds and whether or not there is any kind of requirement for him to, because somebody, of course, I heard another rumor, they sold the pumps today, and I don't know if it's a rumor or not, but I'm assuming the pumps are talking about the ponds, so I'm worried about the wildlife and what kind of requirement we have on keeping those going.
Robin?
Yeah.
Don't stop. You know, one of the things that Robin said was, you know, don't give up the agriculture designation. I don't think that property's ever not been agriculture, because citrus trees were planted back in the 1800s, and it was agriculture. So it hasn't stopped. So
Right.
Works just fine. Okay,
Very good.
Michelle, is it Ingram or? Okay, so there's an R there. Okay, I'm sorry for. Thank you, Michelle.
Amazing.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for your commitment. It's obvious from your statements that you are committed. 20 years ago, I faced this council, a different council, when we battled to keep Golden Hills in the open. Nationalist Park was in danger at one time, and our smaller group did show up, and the council delivered, and we were able to save it. I was looking online today, and it talked about the survey that it encourages all Laverne residents to fill out, and it had an interesting question. It asked, how would you want Laverne described in the year 2040? I challenge all of you, because this is what you're looking forward to now. How do you want Laverne described in the year 2040? Do you want it described as a green space, as some place where the environment is valued as well as the lives of the people that live there? A number of options that you can do. I think everybody's very committed to staying on top of this and to policing these guys. I challenge you to get aggressive. I challenge you to find a buyer. The state of California, Malibu, has massive amounts of fire damage because they had problems and areas to get to. They didn't have enough fire break issues. The state of California, due to Governor Brown, has a pretty good kitty right now. Has anybody approached the assemblyman that's in our district? Has anybody talked to the state about their defenses? I've lived through several fires up here. I've had the fire stands on Golden Hills, okay? So what I'm saying to you is perhaps there's an avenue there that we can, you know, oh, that's mine.
Can't beat the Stones.
You should have not admitted that.
That's it, I live by the truth. So anyway, what I'm trying to say to you is, you've got the public trust. Somebody, yeah, these lovely people have done a great job on the next door neighbors, have talked about this Institute for Public Trust. I'm not familiar with that, but I really think that it's an opportunity for the city to have one person. I know the city jobs are they have a lot of responsibility, they have a lot of things, and maybe you could have a committee of, homeowners or something like that that can help them. But why don't we attack it that way? I've worked in development, I finance development. This guy has a lot of money, this guy's gonna play a lot of games. The best thing we can do is find somebody to buy it, find a way to finance it, and put it together.
Right.
The LPGA might want to get involved. Perhaps the LPGA might want to give us some seed money so that there is a 9-hole golf course, because golfing's dying, and they don't want golf to die, okay? There are a lot of public entities that we could reach out to. The agricultural aspect. Perhaps one thing that the state of California is looking into is using the Australian technique of backfires and then planting agricultural areas to stop the spread of wildfires. So there's a number of different things that you could look at that perhaps the council, whoever, I would be happy to help too, can look at to find maybe a coalition of people. And finally, nobody likes taxes, but maybe if you had a way to finance, 75% of it, and you laid it out to the people of Laverne and said, okay, we're gonna have a one-time tax of so much to enact this thing so it makes fiscal responsibility for us. I don't really know how those all function. Maybe they're not applicable in this case. But I do challenge you to try and find a buyer or a situation and not be playing a policeman with this guy. Because the guy will play policeman and back and forth in battle, and in 5 years he's going to try and get people elected, not like you, and he's going to money them. And even though we have disclosure laws, you're not going to know if you're voting for a councilman that's going to vote to overturn this in 5 or 10 years. So I might not be here in 5 or 10 years. I might have moved on as far as the city, but I do care. I do care that in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and specifically in the year 2040, Laverne is not known to be a crowded city with no green belts, no naturalist things, that kind of thing. So I challenge you.
Thank you, Michelle. And also, I would like everybody in this room, if you know somebody who is interested or potentially interested in being a partner, it's not just the city that should be going out looking for a potential buyer. We have a room full of people that might have somebody or might have some connection, so please be diligent in that as well. I've just been informed that we have a need to take a very, very short recess. So we'll take about a 3 to 5 minute recess, and we'll come back. If everybody can please take their seats.
Sorry, Mickey.
Okay, if everybody can find their way to their warm seat, I would just like to remind everybody that we do have restrooms right out here. And so please, during the meeting, use them. That's okay. It's a little harder for us up here to do that, but anyway. Okay, we're gonna, Rosemary. She had her question answered, okay. Lorinda Peterson.
Hi, thank you. I feel so much better knowing that what you guys have presented today and saying that you are hardline on not rezoning and that you're kind of have our backs. I really appreciate that. I'm one of the lucky ones that has the beautiful view of the orange fence, and I appreciate how quickly you guys responded to that as well. I'm praying for the day I'm praying for the day that actually it goes away. The 21st is my birthday, so if you guys can do it by Sunday, I'd appreciate that. But
Great, a cheap birthday present.
we're trying to figure out what the penalty is if we all go cut it down, but it was a lot to do that, so, well. But Robin kind of alluded to this question, and thank you, Robin, for being awesome spokesperson for it. But we back up to the lake, and I know we're the eyes and the ears, but I want to know, and Eric, you might be able to answer this, is there a specific ordinance that protects those? There's animals back there, there's fish, we've watched baby ducks grow up this spring. Is there something specific already on the books that backs that up the minute we call somebody's out there to stop him from taking fish out, poisoning it, emptying it, whatever his little crazy mind will have? Is there something already on the books that backs that up?
We'll get that answer for you tonight.
Okay. Thank you guys so much.
Very good.
Debbie Popovich. Debbie? There she is.
Hello? Hello?
It's working.
It works. Thank you very much for whoever cut down those weeds on Golden Hill. I mean, that happened that quick. My question is on Golden Hills, that part of the golf course, there are 4 dead trees. And so I just wondered who could take those down.
We will address that. Thank you, Debbie. Okay. Catherine Butler, you here?
You have to
There
fill
she
out
is.
cards. There's that blue card.
You were hiding.
Thank you, council, for what you've done so far. My name's Catherine Butler. I don't live in the Laverne, Sierra Laverne area, but I am opposed to tourist development. In talking with one of the council members, I understand that the council asked, or the city asked the developer what it would take to keep the golf course open. And he said 3 years of water, I think at $250,000 a year, and 300 new members. Well, that's a little unrealistic, but I'm wondering if the city could approve at least 1 year of water to keep him having to run water through the pipes and keep the pipes in the ground, because once he digs those pipes up, that is a very, very difficult thing to roll back. So I'm wondering if some action could be taken almost immediately to either from the residents contributing for that water to stay on and have some time between now and the end of the year where he had to keep it watered. Just wondering if that could be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fill out a card.
Okay, I have no more speaker cards.
Here, you want to talk?
Hello. This is a little bit of a maintenance question for the community. I'm sure you know that the city hall is closed on Friday, like a lot of businesses do, that do things on Friday when we can't call. So if the question's for Eric, and Eric, thank you for such a thorough historical reference on all this. Can he bring a bulldozer onto the property without a conditional use permit? And if we see that and we call the police, if it's a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, does the police have the legal ramifications to stop him at that point? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So then you'll spill that.
Yeah.
Do a speaker card, please.
I just have to say, just so everyone knows, there's a little boy here that I just keep watching because he claps after each person speaks. And he is wonderful. What's his
Maverick.
name?
Maverick, and he plays on the golf course almost every evening.
If he has a name of Maverick, he should be here.
And he calls it Coyote Park. He wants it open. All my grandkids.
Okay, James Follis, please.
Thank you for your time this evening, your support. I too, like the lady that spoke earlier, work with the developers on a daily basis in financing large projects. I am a concerned citizen and an impact citizen in my current role, so I'm here as a citizen today. But that was an interesting topic you brought up. I know special taxes are not popular. To acquire a specific piece of property like this is going to be multiple millions of dollars. However, if you float a bond across the city for a 30-year period at a certain tax rate, you can raise a significant amount of money here. It's just a thought from a financing vehicle perspective. Many cities do it. I'm involved with them all over the country. But it is a significant way to make, maybe it's 50% of that purchase price. If it's an eminent domain situation that we're in here, we have to make up the fair market value, whatever it might be. It's just a thought. I appreciate you bringing that up. To the coalition, thanks for bringing those 600 petitions here today. We had a very productive meeting. I appreciate 2 or 3 of you. I think it was 3 of you.
All of us.
All of you.
All 5, yeah, we were all there.
I know Mr. Hepburn was as well. So thank you again for your support. My last question or point that I'll bring up is litigation is key here. This gentleman does appear to have deep pockets. However, I hope you're all sitting in your seats 5 to 6 years from now, because typically that's the turn time on something like this to get it entitled, get it through litigation. I hope we have millions of dollars in our coffers to get through that, because it will be multiple lawsuits. So I assume our city attorney and everyone else is thinking through that. I hope it never gets to that. But that's something I wouldn't shy away from a fight or a debate here by any means, because multiple cities do that and that's their way to flex. But thank you thus far for taking it on. So thank you.
James, before you go, thank you for speaking last Monday night. You did a nice job, and a lot of information that came out by you speaking. I can tell you that this is a conservative city financially.
Good.
And we are committed to this.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Tracy Gonzalez.
Hello, Mayor and City Council. I am not exactly on the golf course, but I'm a block off of it on Warm Springs, just south of Golden Hills. And first of all, I appreciate everyone's support tonight, and I hope that continues to carry through as we move forward and it gets a little tougher for everyone. And I appreciate putting it on the agenda. I'm a 13 resident here, but I'm a 30-year government employee, so I know that everything has to be followed, and there's all these rules, and I understand it's not always an easy thing just to make all of us happy out here. But so I appreciate it going on the agenda so fast and letting everyone get up here and actually having an interaction, which is actually not normal for councils to do. But at the same time, I know there's some of the council upcoming meetings that have looked like they might be canceled. And as you can see tonight, we are here in force, and we'll continue to be showing up. So understand everyone's got vacations, all those good things going on, and but we appreciate it. We got to keep on top of it. One missed meeting where we can't get together and talk about what's going on, or send a website, all that stuff. But we'd like to continue to have those meetings as often as possible for us to interact, bring things to you, talk about it, and figure out how we're going to make sure it stays the same.
Right.
Thank you, Tracy. One of the things that I have been asking about and will happen is it doesn't have to be a formal city council meeting for us to have discussions. It can be town hall meetings, and those are planned with everybody here and staff and everything, so we can have a dialogue moving forward to find the best way. So I just want you to know, Tracy, that it's important to get these information out on a regular basis, not necessarily in a formal setting, but so we can all sit and have dialogue. So thank you very much. Okay, I'm out of blue cards again. Do we have?
I'll fill it out. Just a quick comment, and I think it's important because we see a very strong show of support behind me and in front of me. But there's a lot of residents that aren't here. There's a lot of residents that don't know what's going on. And this developer, and he is somehow interrelated with New Urban West and with the attorney and with Western Golf.
Yeah.
This is a very orchestrated, planned attack on us.
Yep.
And so it's extremely important that if you know, if you or everybody behind me know residents that don't know what's going on, we need to get them informed. That part of the website needs to get out to as many people as possible, because this developer is looking for the weak link. He
Yep.
is going to go after the person that isn't sure, that thinks maybe development would be okay. And that's where they're going to go after, that group. And if they can get that group, then this whole thing falls apart.
That's why they had all those meetings.
So I think it's important that we just keep the word out there and get the communication.
What was your name?
Marlene Carney, and I don't live on the golf course, I live across Wheeler at 1632 Kent Drive. But I know if this goes away, we're gonna have a lot of traffic, the schools are gonna be impacted, everything's gonna kind of.
Marlene has worked in areas of employment that her input is very meaningful. And thank you, Marlene, for being here tonight and participating. Yes, sir.
Thank you guys for having this, but I wanted to say that.
Name, please.
What was that?
Name, please, not
Jeff
Maverick.
Peters.
Huh?
Mavericks guy.
Mavericks, Papa.
Oh, Grandpa. Hey.
Kids are out.
That was a beer.
But everybody knows that plays golf, the maintenance shack holds every tool to ruin the golf course. They have tools and machines that will tear up the course, and he owns those. So how do you stop that? I mean, their aerators can ruin a green in a second. They have things that remove grass, that cut turf. He has everything. I mean, the previous owner, the maintenance guys would let me go get firewood over there. They have every tool there is in their maintenance shack. Now, last night they were watering. The day before they didn't, which I understand. If you see on the back side of, there's certain areas they're letting die, and they're watering, like most golf courses, areas that shouldn't be watered. But again, the maintenance shack, how do we stop what he owns from just starting it up in the morning, keeping his people hired, and ripping apart the golf course when it's his property? I don't, you know.
You should go
I
to
mean,
jail.
we live on Indian Wells, which is the 12th hole, it's a par 3, which I'm sure you can't build there, and the 17th I can see from my balcony and from my neighbor. It's all right there. But, you know, we hear him every morning, and again, he's watering right now, but the pond on Birdie is shut off, the waterfall is right now. So
Been shut off for a while.
Well, the waterfall turns all the water. The biggest pond they have, the pond that my kids fished at.
How long
I
has
mean,
it been,
all
how
their
long has
kids.
it been off? Because I've noticed that it wasn't flowing.
Yeah,
How
it
long?
hasn't, even today it wasn't, my wife's got pictures of it. So, and one of the neighbors says it's starting to smell a little. So,
Yeah, I've noticed that it's not been flowing, and I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just a day, but it's been multiple days now.
Yeah.
Probably 5 to 6 days, if I
Yeah.
can recall. Wow.
so,
Eric?
that'll be
There you go.
addressed. That'll be addressed.
That'll be addressed.
And again, if you guys can get the property lines, because even on Indian Wells, the grass, they would cut the whole hill, now it's not. So, and everyone's thinking fire, snake issues are bad too. The rattlesnakes get up higher and higher, and again, we got kids and grandkids running around, and it's a danger. But appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Said she still had a question.
Brooke?
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
I have one question. I have one question. Hi, how are you? Does he send representation here? Is someone here representing him?
We don't know.
We will know.
Yeah. The other question, does Laverne have a drone that you can fly over so that you don't basically waste
Yeah, we have 200 zone right out in front of us. Yeah.
Well, all kidding aside,
It's not a bad idea.
City attorney talked to the police department about that already.
Thank you, sir. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't live in that part of Laverne, but I do golf.
Thanks for being here.
so I am concerned.
Good, thank you, Rosemary.
Just a quick thought on, we're talking about getting the word out, people who don't know, okay? So, we've noticed the sign that says, you know, fireworks are illegal, no tobacco. Is it possible, I mean, I don't know how much those things cost to run for a few days or a week or whatever, just to say, Sierra Laverne, know the facts, and have the web link? Something like that, so that people are gonna go, Sierra Laverne what?
Exactly.
Or, you know, just something to get somebody's attention to kind of ask the question and give them a little something, and maybe they'll talk to their.
Pam, we own those. We own a number of them, so.
Put 'em out.
That's something we can do. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea.
So you're already thinking about looking. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor and council and everybody behind you, I kudos to everybody. I'm here on another issue, Wally Emery.
We can't.
Pardon me?
That one's coming up.
It's coming up.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but
I'd
he's
like to
yeah.
address this issue as well.
Oh, yeah.
May I?
Sure.
Okay. I have over 6 years of experience with planning and zoning commissions in a different city. And if I could be of any assistance to anyone at the council level or at the grassroots level, I'm available to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Wally.
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Well, actually, I'd like to clarify something. I did put in a speaking request. My name is Eileen Garcia, and I've lived in Laverne for 48 years. My parents brought us here in 1971, almost my whole life. I guess what I wanted to ask also, well, I wanted to clarify that my dad had been on the planning commission through 79, 80, and beyond, and I remember that they had talked about a density bonus that was given to maintain the open space just beyond. So I think what happened was the 250 or so homes that ring the golf course in different areas, I think those lots were allowed to be a little bit smaller in exchange for keeping the open space just behind. And I believe that's what occurred at the time, because I do remember quite a few things from
Around
it.
Country Club.
Yes.
Could be.
yes. And other streets too, so. And I guess I had a question that maybe I can go and ask staff or something, but the CUPs, I think, are there multiple CUPs on the property? Because I know that there's 2 cell phone towers, and I don't know if those were amendments to the original CUP, or if that's something that the city could use as, say, keep in your back pocket to, say, intimidate them if they don't keep in mind that you could revoke those CUPs.
Let's check.
Because they would be making money from renting those.
Absolutely.
So,
Good.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to speak on? Okay, first of all, thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I think one of the things that I heard, I didn't hear by word, but I heard by emotions, is the fear of what might happen. And one of the things that I think we want to alleviate is doing that, making sure that the fear factor, I mean, we can't take it away, but we can address it. So with that, I would like to ask council your comments, your thoughts, before we go to our next item.
Well, from me, I've written more notes, I love notes, so I can go back. Oh, sorry. I think everybody's in this room now, aren't they? But I've taken more notes. I go back to these a lot. They help me to understand more and more. And we feel what all of you are feeling. We all live here in Laverne. Obviously, we're representing you, and it's good for us to hear from you, coming to the meeting, hearing from you, and all the emails and the phone calls. And so I thank you all for that. And it's really nice to have us all come together for the same purpose and to work together. So I promise you, we will keep working on this. That's a beautiful area up there. We all love to go by it. And I don't play golf, but I love to look at that open land and beautiful. We've all used the facilities at some time there. It's just, the banquet room was beautiful, those giant windows. So I'm hoping that resolution will be beneficial to all of us, and we'll keep working on that.
As I previously stated, I've been a member up at Sierra Laverne for 19 years. My friends are there. The people I've golfed with for 19 years.
We're 40 years.
We've seen,
Sorry. I'm sorry.
we've seen many changes in the city. And all you have to do is look at photographs that were taken in '80 and take a look at the aerials now. Things change. This is one part of our city that I think we really need to make the effort to keep it open. I'm not sure that we can keep a golf course there, but I'm hoping that later councils will see the absolute necessity in having open space so that as a community, we can all enjoy that. So just know that at this present time, with this council and the people that are up in front of you, we are committed to keeping that space open.
I'm going to mirror pretty much what everybody else has said, but also the most important thing is anything, whether it be White Avenue, whether it be Marshall Canyon, whether it be Canterwood with our stench, and that's going away now, whether it be any issue in Laverne that the council's been involved with and the residents, usually it's always on the side of good, that we try to help for the quality of life, the safety for all, and to make sure that we keep our open spaces. And I'll just reiterate that it's very important we all stick together. The ideas tonight were fantastic. I mean, there's things that I didn't think about. You know, we're all focused on many things, but when everybody comes together like this group, we all come across with some great ideas. I mean, just great ideas. As making people aware, those signs, that's great. Let people know what's going on, and the sheds and the tools and things like that. And the water being shut off. It's like, you know, you don't think about it when you're jogging along with a dog and he's doing whatever, and you're looking over there and you're thinking, they're not on. It's not on. You know, and also, with this group, you know, we have a lot of local leaders and state leaders, Grace Napolitano, and we have Chris Holden, and we have Anthony Portantino. You know, they serve the residents. And this particular individual is an interesting fellow. I'll just be nice about it. But this is not the only place where he functions. He's doing this all over.
Yep.
We're not the only golf course that's the issue. Whether, like Mr. Rosales said, whether, you know, and other people have said, whether it be Escondido, whether it be Volano, whether it be multiple San Diego courses. This is just a process because of the fact that golf courses are closing more frequently now. They're not building like they used to. And I say that reach out to all, but also get us the information. Please, very important. But thank you all for being here. This is awesome. This is great. Thank you.
If I could before just one thing on, and we really want to encourage all the input that we can get. The one thing I want to make sure we didn't really clarify tonight is please make sure we do it from our own properties or from the right-of-way and not to trespass on the gentleman's property, because that will create other challenges for us. We're going to try and take this from the right course and not get caught up in some of that. So that's one thing I would encourage everybody to keep in mind, please. Thank you. Sorry.
I would like to start off by thanking everybody for being here. And I just want to mention some things that I felt were very, very important that we're talking about. One is the policing effort, all of us, 200 sets of eyes, plus everybody else around. It's very important that you are diligent and provide the information. Pam, thank you for the idea of the mobile signs that will get up there. Robin, the 600 petitions that I saw you up there coordinating and so forth. So I really appreciate your effort and everybody else's effort to do this. I heard one comment that bothered me a little bit because somebody said, you know, we as voters, but remember, not everybody in Laverne votes. So we need to make sure that all the residents are taken care of, not just those that vote. This is not about who votes or doesn't. This is about the city. And I think the next item is one of the most important things, and that is, what's this city gonna look like in 2040, in 2060, 2080? My great-grandparents came here in 1885. That agriculture that I talked about, they were the first citrus growers here. So agriculture has been in our blood for decades. And so the open space, the golf course, the place where we can go that we're not going to be able to go there for a while, but hopefully we can do something that we can get people back on this property. So I think that's very, very important. And also, Michelle talked about, along with James, about the potential of outside money being used. And I know that we have thought about that a little, but we've got some great ideas about some areas to go. And if anybody in this room has things, has people or ideas, please communicate those. I think the second to the last thing I would like to say is everybody sitting up here is as concerned as you are. I hope we have conveyed that to you this evening. We are all in this together. And yes, we're elected officials. Yes, we sit on the dais. We're all in the same room. So please rest assured of that. Second thing is, we didn't get all the questions answered tonight. We tried a few, but they will be answered best we can on the website. So please be on that website, look for it, and when you see something, write something. We're going to change the complete saying of see something, say something, to see something, write something. Don't hesitate, please. So thank you very much for coming, and we will be taking a short recess. Thank you. Can't believe you did not stay for the rest of the meeting.
Charlie.
Is there a party at their house?
Okay, I'm ready. Hit it.
Okay, we are back on the agenda on item 8, these public hearings. Item A, hearing to determine necessity of utility user tax.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll handle this item. As required under Measure F, that was a voter approved utility users tax. Dan's in the room. Voter approved utility users tax. Every year it is required that the city hold a public hearing to determine the necessity for it. As council is aware, we adopted the budget last month, which anticipated the revenue of about $2.8 million coming in from this source to help balance the budget. So we do have that need. All that is required is that you open the public hearing and take it.
Any questions? Yeah. Okay, we will move, open the public hearing. If there's anybody that would like to address this item, if you could please come to the podium. We will close the public hearing, and we will vote to extend the city funding as needed.
Motion to approve.
Second. Vote, please. Thank you. Item B. Item B and C and D will be taken together. And these are city landscape and lighting districts. These are areas that are around mostly residential areas to make Laverne attractive, and the homeowners are paying those bills. And so I'll turn it over to either you.
I will take the item. Thank you. Yeah, this is another public hearing that is required and been published for tonight's consideration. Each year, the council is required to review the expected assessment so that it can be added to the tax rolls and the levy included in the upcoming property tax for the respective property owners. There are essentially the three districts we'll be approving in one action, and then the other one, because Councilmember Carter has a conflict as it affects her property, will have to recuse herself and leave the room. But essentially, in all these areas, there is no upward adjustment. They will all be remaining the same, with the exception of one area, and that's District 7 in the Laverne Heights area, which is actually being reduced by $50 to $600. And that is just based on the anticipated need for the coming year. Additionally, there is in the levy in Zone 6, which is essentially the Hartshorn Ranch, the new development that's on Fruit. The levy is being increased, but the assessment is not going up. And the reason that we're not raising the assessment is there's sufficient reserves to take on whatever that anticipated increase would be this year. So we're going to be eating into the reserves. So the residents' increase they will not see an increase this year, but we have increased the approved levy should we review it at a later year. I think that's it. So with that, I will leave that open, but essentially they're keeping them the same as prior year with those minor modifications.
Just,
Discussion? Public hearing.
well, does anybody have questions of staff? Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Can we do more than one at a time?
You can take District 6, 7, and 8 together.
Okay, so if anybody would like to address items 6, 7, and 8. Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Just to give you an idea, if you go up Rancho Laverne Road north of Laverne Heights Elementary School, that nice area through there, that's part of it. Esperanza is part of it. Puddingstone Drive down in the business district is part of it. That's District 6. District 7 is fuel modification around Laverne Heights residential area, and District 8 is fuel modification around Marshall Canyon Estates. So that is what we're covering. So with that, I will entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
And actually, Councilmember Carter will be recusing herself for the next two items because she has a similar conflict on the weed abatement as well.
Item 8, or item E.
You want to explain the conflict or yeah, 84-1 is the assessment district that is for Live Oak Estates, which, as I said, is also included with the property that Councilmember Carter lives in. Again, similarly, no increase. This provides for fuel modification and weed removal in that general area. And so we're asking again for your consideration to approve that assessment district.
Princely sum of $8 per parcel on your tax bill.
But everybody up there gets it because
Yeah, Tim is just outside the border.
we can include him if he wants. Okay, we'll open the public hearing. If anybody would like to address this item, I think it's District 84-1M. Okay, we'll close the public hearing, bring it up. If no questions, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Vote please. Thank you. Move to item F, and this is 2018 and 19 weed clearance charges.
Mr. Mayor, I'll handle this one as well, and I was looking around to see if Masood made the meeting, but I think it got a little late for him if he was planning. Oh, okay, very good, thank you, with LA County Ag Department. Do we have any questions? So this is the actual public, we've had two other actions that we've taken on this particular item. One that was back in February to declare the properties that would need to be considered for abatement. Those properties then were, the inspection was done, the hearing was set for today, and what you have is a list of 83 parcels that had some type of assessment. A majority of those, 77, were just inspections. So we have to identify the properties with the county that warrant some type of an inspection. And just so for the benefit of the audience, with the closure of the golf course next year, we would expect to add the golf course to this list for inspection coming forward. in anticipation of what type of weed abatement would need to be done in accordance with the county standards. So then, of the 83, only 6 required some type of work on the county's part, and so the assessments in those are higher than just the inspection charge, and they reflect what the work was that needed to be done in that case. So with that, I am requesting that council approve these for addition on the upcoming tax rolls as well as the property tax for the individuals.
Okay, any questions? Open the public hearing if there's anybody that would like to address this item. Okay, close the public hearing, and if no questions, entertain a motion.
Second.
Vote please. Thank you. We'll move to item 9. This is extension of the waste management contract. And we're going to have our Assistant City Manager, Public Works Director, present this. Mr. Kesey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the public, council members. What you have before you tonight is a resolution in which staff is recommending approval of an agreement that will extend the waste management contract by a 10-year term. They are the current provider of waste management services in Laverne. They have been through their various companies for the better part of 50 years, frankly. This whole extension at this point, although there's another year and a half rather, remaining on their current contract, which is valid through December of 2020, we sought out the extension with Waste Management as a result of the council's actions during our fiscal sustainability workshop back in 2018. At that point, it was determined, as we looked for additional revenues or ways to cut our expenses, that we would consider adding additional revenue means onto our waste management contract. We have done that. We have presented that to you in a study session. Essentially, the contract basically remains the same with the following exceptions here. The current contract provides for recycling credits, essentially a sharing of revenues that might be generated from recycling. However, in the recycling world, things have changed and the revenues are no longer being generated as they once were. Frankly, it costs money to dispose of many of these recyclables. So that has been removed from the contract, but we have added several other things that I think will be beneficial to the community, and those are shown on the table 1 of the staff report that I provided you. Things that will show up include one of the biggest things, I think, is Waste Management has been willing to forego its rate increase that was scheduled to take effect July 1 of this month. That rate increase being postponed will save our customers, both residential and commercial, more than $200,000. So that is simply a good thing, and that will be a continued reduction basically over the time of the contract. We've also included, this is based on Councilman Hepburn's suggestions to us, to include an alley cleanup or neighborhood cleanup program. This is something that staff will have to develop, and we think we can do that by, say, March of next year. But Waste Management is going to be there to support us and provide the necessary facilities to dispose of whatever is generated from these cleanup programs. So more will follow regarding that. Another addition to this program or to this contract would be discounts for low and moderate income persons. We don't currently have that in the contract. This contract will include that, and it will mimic what you might find for utilities like Edison and the gas company. Excuse me. one of the major revenues that will be generated from this contract to the city is based on the cost allocation study that was prepared a couple of years ago. That study suggested that we could generate more than $400,000 legitimately from our waste hauler due to impacts on the streets and things like that. Given the city's needs and given the council's direction not to affect customer rates, that rate has, or that revenue has been limited to $175,000. Between that and some other miscellaneous adjustments in the contract, we expect we'll generate over $200,000 over each year over the 10-year life of this contract. So we'll be generating close to $2 million while our customers are saving money. I'd also like to point out that there has been some concern about potentially putting this thing out to bid, which is something that we could do. It does take some effort. However, if you would look at and refer to the chart in the staff report that compares 13 local agencies and the rates that they pay to their waste haulers, whomever they might be, Verne is third from the bottom. And we're the third lowest of those 13. We pay 50 cents more than the lowest guy per month. Simply stated, it doesn't make sense, frankly, to go out to bid when we are already seeing that we are one of the lowest customers or waste cities in this local area. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but the staff's recommendation is to adopt the resolution, thereby approving the extension, 10-year extension to this agreement, which will go into effect immediately. There are representatives from Waste Management here if you'd like to ask them any questions as well.
So Dan, would you say that I'm hearing more and more reading about it in the different locations I went to for waste management? Do you think that recycling, that it was over collected and it's having a problem to be able to reuse it across the nation? I know we were sending so much to Japan, correct?
China.
Not anymore though, right?
The waste management folks might be able to reply better to this, but it's my understanding that the bulk of recyclable materials from this area are sorted and shipped to China. They're heavily contaminated, whatever heavily means. There are certain things that we can put into recycling containers, and it's good recyclable material, but with some contamination, they were accepting it, but the more and more stuff we're sending over there, the less and less they want it, because they now have to dispose of the trash we're sending with the recycling. And so the money is not present at the time.
Did you
Nothing
get it
else
right
to add?
on?
Good boss.
He was paying attention. You know everything about trash.
Talking a lot.
Trashy guy.
Sports guy, right?
Okay, anybody, any other questions of staff? Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
This is a time that we're going to ask those that would like to speak in this matter. I have 2 cards. First one is Brian McNary. Brian.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I was the president and CEO of the Laverne Chamber of Commerce for 10 years. I'm now semi-retired. I'm still working with the chamber a little bit.
Never retired.
In this period of time, we've had such a tremendous support from Waste Management, not only with the Chamber of Commerce and our events, the city's events, and a lot of the nonprofits. They really stepped up, Habitat for Humanity, sowing seeds, and they've helped us, recover things that we needed to do to be successful with our events. I'm very happy about what they've done. I wish the other utilities would stand up as strong as they have, in my opinion. I'd just like to support them. I think this is a good move for the city of Laverne.
Thank you, Brian. What'd you do to your face?
Cancer. 75 years old and
Maybe your
no inflammation
grandkid
left.
got you. Grandkid smacked you. Little Brian.
Little Brian.
Okay, Wally Emery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. everybody in the audience. This is not my first rodeo at negotiating trash contracts. I attended the May 20th study session, and the result of that meeting was that it was 4 in favor of accepting the waste management extension, and 1 council member was willing to do the right thing because it's the right thing and not because it's easy. There isn't a person in this audience that would spend this kind of money without going out for an RFP. The staff just told us that there's 18 months left on this contract, and that would take the city staff 18 months to write a comprehensive RFP to go out to all the local competitive trash companies and give you a bid. That's the only way that you all elected officials can say we did the right thing, we went out to bid, and maybe Waste Management's going to be right and maybe they're going to be wrong. I set up tours for a local trash company visit, and during that visit we were told that plastics are recyclable. They send them to a company that they own, and they're made into pellets, and those pellets are used for generating power. So please, if you don't go out for an RFP, there's only one person that's going to know whether you did the right thing or the wrong thing, and his name's right up there, God. Please do the right thing. Somebody call for a motion. Take a deep breath, and let's go out, spend the 18 months, and get a proper RFP so we'll know that the taxpayers are getting the most bang for their buck. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address this item?
Yes, I would. Rick Bowen, Mr. Mayor, Council. I too was at the study session, and it's on video. So what I found interesting, it said many of the council members and city attorney and city manager indicated bids were cumbersome to our employees and would increase cost. Without a bid, how do you know? One council person indicated that a long-term relationship with Waste Management is critical to keep. Why do anything to bid then if that's really the case? And the last thing, because I know how the vote's going, but since there's a Waste Management person here, I'd love for them to get up and tell us they will quit giving gifts to council people, city attorneys, and city management. Those are the 3 that have signed conflict of interest statements, and just by the name, it's a conflict of interest. So will Waste Management, will somebody ask Waste Management if they'll quit doing that? Because it obviously is to buy influence. Thank you.
Anybody else like to make comments on this? Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. On behalf of the Laverne Chamber of Commerce and its 250 members, we want to express our full support for the extension of the waste management contract. The extension of the contract will provide financial benefits for our Laverne businesses. This contract includes rolling back the customer rate increases from July 2019 to July 2020. By providing an additional year with no rate increase, our businesses will gain a more stable financial environment. This extension will also supply new services that will benefit our business community. This contract includes quarterly alley cleanups, which will help remove unsightly, abandoned items from our alleys. This service will not only make Laverne more appealing for local consumers, it will make us more attractive to new businesses. Finally, the extension will allow for the continued support of a solid community partner. Waste Management is a strong supporter of
community and chamber events, offering not only financial but in-kind services. Waste Management has been a sponsor for every community yard sale, helping to divert tons of waste from landfills. They also support our businesses by providing continuous education and outreach to help them become compliant with recycling laws. Approval of this contract extension is important to both current and future businesses in the city of Laverne, and we urge you to approve resolution number 19-57.
Thank you, Leah. Anybody else like to address council on this item? Mickey?
Leah, that was a great job. I would just like to say that I was with the chamber, I still am, and ever since I opened my business, so probably 12, almost 13 years. And Waste Management has always been there. They, like Leah said, are a community supporter, not only financially helping with our events, but with somebody there all the time. There was Carolyn Anderson to begin with. Now it's Terry Muse, and they are on different boards. They support the business community. In downtown Laverne, we've had challenges with our trashes because downtown is very small, the parking lots are very small. They worked effortlessly to fix that and help us with the trash that we have downtown and to take care of it. So I highly recommend that we support Waste Management as well. I think they're a great supporter of our town, like I said, not only financially, but they're there for everything. You need help, all you have to do is call Terry, and she's there to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mickey. Anybody else like to address this issue? Okay.
Well, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I would like to address the comment made by Mr. Bowen. It's not a conflict of interest form, it's a disclosure form.
Could you speak into the microphone, please?
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you for the reminder.
Thank you.
You know, the gift that I disclosed is an annual dinner put on by Waste Management as part of the Contract Cities Conference. It's a chance to meet some of the executives in the company, talk to them, meet with other cities that have Waste Management as their provider. That's all it is. There's nothing sinister about it. It's maintaining the relationship that we've been discussing. So I just wanted to clarify something.
Thank you.
And I will take it a step further and say that the disclosures that are included, certainly by myself and I think Councilmember Rosales, is only as it relates to they sponsor a foursome for a nonprofit that is doing a fundraiser and they're looking for golfers. And we have to put that down, and it's a way for the city to be represented and also to participate, and for Waste Management to support whatever nonprofit that is. I think it's either the school district or the Humane Society or one of those that is a partner here. So it is nothing other than that. It is not a gift of any other sort other than providing a sponsorship in that regard.
Thank you. Okay, Jim, why don't you start?
Well, at the study session, I was the one person, the dissenting vote. And for the only reason, Waste Management does a great job. There's no question about it. The community's very happy with them. They take care of our services. They're accommodating to the contract. As being in the business of electrical contractor, I go out to bid on multiple items. And I think that a 10-year contract, and especially when we've had them so long, that to put out for an RFP to find out what the costs are and to be up and up to say that this is a fair fee that they're charging. As Mr. Kesey stated, they've got low rates, but unless you see the competitive angle at it and people put the proposals out, that we won't know that. So in that case, I would like to make a motion to go out for RFP for for outside services for an RFP for costs analysis.
Okay, well, we're making all of our comments first.
You want to do the comments first?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Well, I'll wait. Or they can do.
Anything else?
That's it.
Charlie?
The relationship that this city has with Waste Management long historical relationship of this company really putting forth an effort to intertwine with our community. In so many ways, this company has contributed. Has contributed to the benefit of so many organizations here. But the most important organization that we've talked about is the lifeblood of this city, and that's our Chamber of Commerce. It's business. And I think the opportunity that we have at this point to enter into a 10-year contract with Waste Management and continue that relationship is vital to our business community. I'm just going to address a comment made about a golf tournament. The support that we get from Waste Management in providing us with the opportunity to go to a charitable event, to buy raffle tickets, to contribute, make a donation. I hope people understand that that's what we do when we go to these activities. And it's one or two a year. I don't see anything wrong with that. I divulge it. It's not something I hide. So I would just say that that is a moot point.
Just a question. You played in a golf tournament, and you had to pay to go in that golf tournament, and you bought raffle tickets, and that money went to a charity.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, as I said earlier, I take notes on everything. I highlight everything I've got, and I've done my research on this. Initially, I had said, 18 months ago, that when the contract came up for Waste Management, I would like to go out. We've been with them quite a while. Let's go ahead and do this. Not realizing I've never been involved with bids, understanding the process and what it takes. So I did go to, Wally was nice enough to offer to all of us to do a tour of Athens. So that was my first location. I went with you, and I thank you for organizing that. And so we went to that tour, got to see the facility, and then I organized with Dawn to go to Waste Management. I was gonna go to Vertec, but here I have a listing of the different rates. Laverne is in the lower part of a larger scale of cities. There's a high, medium, and low with Vertec, Athens, and Waste Management. And Vertec is way up there, high, so I didn't even want to go there because that wouldn't benefit our city. So I looked at that and I thought, well, geez, if we're saving our residents money, that's important. So then I did further research, and I know Terry, what she has done in our community. Before her, I've been involved with the city. I knew Carolyn, what she did. Every business that big, even I know Athens does, we met her, they have a PR person that represents their organization to come out and work with the cities to see what they can do. They're paid to do that. We're not paying out of our pocket for that service. They're paying for that to make sure that we get the services here we want and offer these things. Now, the comment, Mr. Bowen, that you said earlier, that saddens me because this whole night tonight is very positive. I wish you'd ask us, put it in a question instead of, because it's hard to answer a statement. If you asked, we can comment on that and give you an answer.
I have asked.
You haven't asked about the conflict?
Yes, I have.
Well, if you did, you didn't ask.
It's in video.
Anyhow.
At the study session.
I want to clarify this because it's on video. I want the audience and the community to know. You challenged Waste Management ethics and moral compass. Right here, I have another piece of paper I'd like to share that it says Waste Management has earned national recognition for our local business practices. They were named as the world's most ethical company by Ethisphere 10 years in a row, 2008 to 2018. And it goes on, named in Fortune magazine, they changed the world, this and that. I'd be very happy to share this with you. But when it comes to what they do in this community, I've worked on Teacher of the Year within Waste Management, has been involved. I've seen what they have done for all the groups. money is given back to them. I do want to clarify, I did play in a golf tournament for our police department. They had their first golf tournament. I wanted to pay for that. I don't take bribes, as you call them. They're not bribes. And I paid for that. I asked Waste Management to be one of our guests on our golf foursome. So if you saw us out there, that's why she was with us. I asked her to join. I paid for that. So I just wanted to clarify that.
I never used the word bribe.
You didn't.
Don't like the implication.
But, you know, it just, they have a good reputation. I appreciate the other companies out there, but after doing all my research, I do not feel I want to go out to bid. I'm very happy, and I feel our residents are getting their, you know, best service possible from Waste Management.
Thank you. So, I want to come at it from a little different angle. First of all, this city does a bidding for many, many things. Public Works Department, which runs our trash hauling and recycling, does bidding many times. It's more unusual for us not to have some kind of a bid on the agenda than it is the other way. So we go out for bids, and why do we go out for bids? We want to get the lowest bid, and I think just as important is we want the most responsible. And so it's not just somebody that says, well, I can do it for this, but we want you to show us that you have the ability to do that, and you have done that. So the Public Works Department is very familiar and very good at bids. The second thing is, you know, Councilmember Hepburn said, well, you know, I think the bidding process is good, and that's how he gets his business, is he bids. However, it's my belief, and I don't know this for sure, but it's my belief that you probably have companies that come to you and said, Tim, I want you to do my work. I'm not going to go out to bid. I just want you to do my work because of other reasons that I want you to do my business. I like your work. I like that you show up on time. I mean, for all the things that you do, I don't want to go out to bid. I trust that you are going to do the work. So there is no bidding process in everything that I believe Councilmember Hepburn does. But I think we did go out to bid. And the graph that we shows that Walnut has a price of $21.38 and we're at $21.88. That is about 2.34% better than we are. Okay, so the Waste Management is going to not increase the 3.81% that they are due in this contract through CPI, and so they're going to start a new contract with rates held for a year. So that is going to save our customers, our residents, $200,000. If you do the math, starting now, that is going to be a savings of our residents $2 million in that 10-year contract. And if you look at the percentage of the increase or the difference between the lowest and us, and by the way, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 above us, 2 below us, and the furthest one below us is only 2 1/3%. If you look at the savings, it's higher, the 200,000 and the amount that we're going to get for the sustainability plan, it's 6%. We have this information. Now, if you're a Covina or Glendora and you're paying $30 to $35 compared to R21, you better be going out to bid. But Laverne, we have no place to go. We're at the bottom. So I am not in favor of going out to bid with a company that's already charging other cities more. I think we're well suited and well priced, and we have gone to the bidding process because we show right here what all the other cities are getting, and we're better. So I am not in favor of going out to bid because looking at this graph, I think we did. So I'm not in favor of going out to an RFP.
Could I rebut?
No. So we have a motion on the floor.
Motion.
Going out for an RFP. Is there a second? Okay.
May I suggest the motion that I think you want to make is to approve the amended and restated solid waste franchise agreement and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Vote please. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is police booking services. And with us is Captain Flores to give a report. Captain.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council and the public. So what you have in front of you tonight is a request for police booking services with an outside agency. To give you a little background, the city did a fiscal sustainability study, and that included contracting with a neighboring agency to book our inmates at another agency. At the time, that measure was not pursued. So we moved forward, and into 2018, our police aides is what we call them. They actually staffed our jail. They're considered jailers, but their title is police aides. So in the year of 2018, we should have had 6.5 employees, and we ended up with 4, and immediately found out that all 4 were either being hired by other agencies or being hired by our own department, and which left us with no one to run our jail. So we entered into an emergency contract with a private jail company to keep our jail running, which has been working. And at that point, we had to realize what we're going to do for the future, which is either continue to contract with a private company or to go out and reconsider going to a neighboring agency again, because the police aid program just wasn't working for us. So for private contracting, G4S is the company that, again, is handling our jail services. Part of the problem that we ran into is the penal code for the state of California requires whenever you have a female arrestee, you must have a female jailer assigned to the jail full time. So that poses a problem because you can't predict when you're going to arrest a female. So G4S is struggling, not with just our agency, but with most agencies in LA County that they serve, to hire more female jailers to meet these standards. So with that, to be in compliance with the law, we again had to look at what we were doing. So the staff reached out to the Pomona Police Department and asked them for assistance to book our females that were arrested when we didn't have a female jailer on duty. And they were more than accommodating. With that process came a few concerns with the private company, which is there was not much cost savings at all to go to a private vendor. There's continued liability for our city by just functioning in a jail. And there's a continued issue of transporting all the prisoners. Our officers still have to transport the prisoners to Pomona Court. And then, of course, the G4S is unable to staff the female jailers as they're trying to. So with the female arrestees, when we did not have a female jailer on duty, we really relied on Pomona PD, and they have been, again, more than accommodating. So in 2018, we booked 128 arrestees at Pomona PD, and what we learned from that is they completely streamline their process when it comes to booking with outside agencies. They embrace regionalizing because we all help each other and support each other. When you have issues in the jail, if they need to close their jail down, they can help us. We can open ours up to help them and vice versa. So with that, our staff experienced nothing but positivity and a quick turnaround and a streamlined process. So analyzing this a little further, we had discussions with the Pomona police chief, and asked him if he was willing to accept another outside agency to do all of Laverne's bookings, and if council wishes to pursue this. And they agreed to, and they, with an average booking of about 1,000 people per year, they chose to, this is a rough estimate, to offer a flat rate of $175,000 a year. And this cost includes the bookings, the inmate meals, the paperwork, and the overall care custody of the inmates and all the jail inspections and audits that come with that. So the other thing that we learned in this last year is for the State Board of Corrections, we can still leave our jail open. We always have the option to come back and book at our jail if we wish, as long as we book at least one person at our jail in a year. And Pomona Police Department is willing to do that. They would bring their jailer to our jail and book an inmate. And that way, if we ever need to go back, we have that option. So we explored this a little further. The staff met with the Police Officers Association Board, and they indicated they were willing to explore this idea since it was the department's desire that the savings from this would be put back into the police department for our other needs that would benefit our operations daily. And to summarize on the advantages of booking at Pomona, again, is the reduced liability related to the overall jail operations to Laverne, savings in the expense of recruiting and retraining jail staff, which is a really high turnover rate in most jails. It eliminates the costs related to salaries such as benefits and PERS, and the jail operations cost is actually cut in half, and savings can be applied towards other approaches that we need to improve on in our own police department operations. So pursuing a contract with Pomona, we believe, is the best approach for the city. In addition to the cost savings, again, the regionalizing is becoming a trend in law enforcement. We do rely on each other. When we need help, we call outside agencies for assistance and vice versa, and this is another way that we can help each other. And it won't affect operations to the community, and unless you have any questions, the staff is recommending that you direct the police chief to finalize agreement with the city of Pomona.
Any questions?
Rank and file approval.
Willing to explore the idea. 100%, I can't say 100%, but we met with the board and they spoke with their membership and they were supportive of it.
What about your distance between Laverne and Pomona to book? I
So
know that they're probably used to being here, it's so convenient, but then again, understanding the issues, but same question as Mr. Rosales probably would.
No, it's definitely a good question. So it's a 3-mile distance between our jail and Pomona jail. The interesting thing about us is with an average of 1,000 bookings, a third of those are what we call misdemeanor cite-outs. So we arrest someone from Kohl's, Target, Bonds, they come to our jail, we book, we give them a ticket, and they get released out of our jail within a couple hours. The 2/3 of our arrests stay with us. Those are the felonies and those are the warrants that have to go to court. Well, Monday mornings, Tuesday mornings, Wednesday mornings, Thursday mornings, we have to pull a police officer in from the field to physically transport these bodies to Pomona Court, which is right next to Pomona Jail anyways. So it might be a different time of day, but we're still having to move
It's kind of a give up, they don't have to do that now, they're already there. In
Correct,
essence,
they're
you've
already
taken them there. I just was concerned about an officer being off for that time frame that they'd have to book, and I would imagine booking takes anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 or 3 hours, is that correct or incorrect?
Well, the booking.
I'm just guessing.
But
Totally
it's
guessing.
okay, it's a confusing process. So the actual booking itself of entering somebody's fingerprints into live scan, it's a 20-minute process. But the officer doesn't need to be there for that. What happens at Pomona is, again, they really streamlined the process. I couldn't be more impressed. That they have a plastic bag with all the forms for the officer to fill out. So as soon as they walk in, they grab it and they immediately fill out the paperwork. They also have a room that has recordings, audio and visual, and they can interview the suspects right there on the premise, and before they leave, they have a copy of it. We've been working with them just in discussions about if this moves forward, what would it look like? We're already talking about IT and how we can streamline this process and make it better. And again, regionalizing with them so we can support each other if for some reason they need to close down their jail or they have a big operation where they have overflow, they could use our facility.
Plus having the liability issue erased and also the retention of employees, but also the fact that we're not losing the job. one booking a year, right?
That's it.
Keeps it, in case that this doesn't work out for you and you're not happy with it as a whole group, we can always go back to our own jail. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah. And that was huge. I understand that's a big concern because
Once you give it
there
up,
was
it's
a
done.
mindset back in the day that you could not reopen a jail because it doesn't meet the Title 15 and Title 22 requirements that's set by the state. But I talked directly to our Board of Corrections inspector that inspects us twice a year, and he said absolutely not. And Pomona also does this with their other agencies. They book for CHP and they book for Cal Poly Pomona, and they book at their holding facilities to keep their facilities open as well.
Sounds like your relationship with Pomona is really good.
I met with them a few times when I first started here, to knowing how important they are. We work with them all the time at the fair. They're a very important part of our community.
And there's another group of employees that also gave their approval.
Yes, so I forgot to mention that, I apologize. So the CEA, when we went into an emergency private contract with the G4S company, there was a concern that they believed that city government could not privatize the jail with a private company, but they did acknowledge that we can get into a contract with a neighboring agency, another law enforcement agency. I understand that our city attorney, either way, is supportive of a private contract, and meaning that it's allowed. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but they did say it's okay.
Good. So CEA.
CEA had approved it in a previous letter to us.
Great. Okay, thank you.
I know you can clean that up.
It was 90.
No, you probably would. Anyway, okay, let's bring it back up here. And without, if there's no further questions, we will take the police chief and captain's recommendation to move this forward.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Vote, please. Thank you. Move to item 19, Resolution 1952, which is the approval of infrastructure financing district. And I am going to declare a conflict on this. I live within 500 feet of the financing district, so I will.
You're in charge, Charlie.
You got the gavel. You got the gavel. Oh my goodness, we're in trouble.
He's so excited.
I know. Take a 3-minute break. Sorry.
We have a staff report from Mr. Eric.
Good evening once again. I promise this will be a shorter presentation than the last one. Tonight before the council is an amendment to our infrastructure financing plan for the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District. The council may recall in 2017, the city of Laverne was the third city in the state of California to adopt and establish an enhanced infrastructure financing district around near our future Gold Line station. It hopes to find a mechanism to collect dollars to pay for needed infrastructure projects in that area to facilitate the development that we expect to occur in the future, mainly as a result of the Gold Line. But one thing we had to do in 2017 to move forward was to do it without the county's participation. The city is dedicating 100% of our tax increment, property tax increment, to future infrastructure projects. And we were hopeful that the county of Los Angeles would also see the benefit of this program that's relatively new to the state, and also contribute a portion of their sales tax, property tax increment, so that these infrastructure projects can occur quicker. And so the county was kind of a little slow in getting it together. They had to establish a policy that would identify when they would participate, potentially. Laverne was able to check all those boxes with the exception of one, which was on affordable housing, but we convinced them that our affordable housing requirements that we have in our specific plan are actually will produce more affordable housing what their own policy would. So once we got that through with their Economic Development Commission or committee, we basically got the green light for it to be scheduled to go to the Board of Supervisors. That's expected to happen next month. So this is a necessary step in amending our infrastructure financing plan to now include the county. So the city again provides 100% of our tax increment, which is roughly 18.5 cents per dollar.
and the county will contribute 50% of their increment, which would result in about 15% of a current dollar. One of the things, so that's pretty much the only changes to the infrastructure financing plan was to incorporate the county's participation. If the county board of supervisors also approves what's being proposed, then this document goes back out to the public for public review for 60 days. And then there's a public hearing before the Public Financing Authority to officially establish this new infrastructure plan for the reestablished EIFD. All that being said, one of the things that does need to be decided besides approving the resolution tonight, the three of you are all the public members on behalf of the city on the Public Financing Authority, but because with the county's involvement, they do get a seat on the PFA, and so that means one of you would need to step down in your position to provide that seat for Supervisor Barger. So that's what would be expected, so we'll need that decision this evening as well. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Again, we recommend that the council adopts resolution number 19-52, I think this is. Yes. Thank you.
Questions?
I would just like to add for a little bit of clarification. So the district has about 13 projects, infrastructure projects that will be taken on. We knew when we established the district, we did not have enough anticipated increment coming in over the course of time to take those all on fully within this. So the county's participation will be critical in helping us to generate those dollars. And just to give perspective, over the anticipated 50 years that the life of the district would exist, that means the county can invest as much as $50 million into Laverne. So that is what we're really talking about over the long term of what this action will take. I want to make sure that that was added to it as well. So the county's really investing in the projects that we're looking to do.
And we have the support of their staff at this point, so we expect that it should go smoothly with the board of supervisors next month.
I have a question. Well, how many, I know that we were like the first or second city to do this. How many other cities have done this resolution already too? It has to include a member from Los Angeles County. How many cities have done this already?
We'll be the first in LA County.
Orange County.
Orange County did, Placentia,
Right.
Placentia has already done it, but that city did not move forward without the county. They just waited until their county was ready to move forward and moved it one. So we were the third in the state to adopt it. We're probably the first in the state to go ahead and amend our EIFD already. So, because to include the county.
What, do you want a cookie?
No, just big. So we work in trade field. We're walking on new ground, and so we've had to kind of, it's taking some time to learn the ins and outs to make sure that we're doing everything the way that the law intended to work for this.
We're breaking trails, so.
Well, and that's the most important thing is the fact that we're one of the first, and we're taking those steps to secure funding. And I think it's absolutely great. I commend staff, council, city staff, city manager for really pushing this through because it took a lot of effort. It's taken years and years. On the behalf of the part, as far as one has to step down, I will step down and let Councilmember Carter and Councilmember Rosales continue on because they've been involved a lot longer than I have. Mr. Rosales would love to see a hotel, and I want to see if we can do that in a short period of time. And Councilmember Carter with their Gold Line affiliation and stuff, this is a real testament to the hard work, and I'll be back in the background with the COG and everything else. So
Well, thank you very much.
Pass the wand to you guys.
Makes the process much easier.
Do you need that in a motion or just?
Actually, we do need it in motion because we need to report.
So
Motion to approve.
Second.
Resolution 1952 with the change to the board.
there it is.
Hey, you have to give it back. Sorry. We don't trust you with that. Somebody find you in Sierra Leone's woodshed, throw his tools down there.
Prying out of his hand.
Yeah, good luck with that, Tom.
Babies. Okay, we'll move to item D, public comment. Anybody that wishes to address?
Everybody looks fine in here.
Anybody that wishes to address on the council on items that are not on the agenda, please do so. Podium is here. Have you come up? Okay, we will move on to item E.
Is everybody okay here?
I said, it doesn't look like anybody's safe.
We're good.
Okay, nobody called.
Brian, you okay? Don't look at
the guy with the bandage. Come on. Don.
Okay, council comments, conference meetings, and other reports. Why don't we start with you? Tim?
4th of July was an absolute resounding success, and last year I think I went out to the command center, and the senior reserve officers, the police officers, firefighters, the CERT. Everybody doesn't realize how much effort it is, and kudos to the committee. It went off without a hitch, but I don't think anybody realizes what efforts are there, but the people behind the scenes that make it go off without a hitch to protect our residents. And I just want to say thank you, because I didn't realize it. You get up there and you're listening and going, my goodness, they have pamphlets, parade routes, locations, the 4th of July, just all the information, stations where people are. You don't realize how much work it actually is, so thank you all. You guys did a great job, and the 4th of July was absolutely fantastic. But thank you all.
Charlie? There's that plus, it's because you haven't said it yet.
You're out of order.
I knew you were going to get that back.
I just want to tell you how much I enjoyed the parade. It's one of the wonderful things about being on this council is you go by people and see how happy they are to be in Laverne on the 4th of July, enjoying a parade that we've done for so many years and getting bigger every year and better. And it's just a joy to see our community come together for that 4th of July celebration.
And I'd like to extend a huge thank you to Bonita Unified School District, because they got the field so that we could use it for the 4th of July show. And so I know Dawn asked the public to be really good about not, throwing any trash around, and people did good. It was a beautiful day. And all of you, thank you. The RSVP, our police department, Corey Lieber. Yeah, he is on our committee for the 4th of July, just all the time you give. Marlou, I saw you in the morning on one street while the parade, then when you're here at night guarding the parking lot and traffic control, you had to be exhausted, but thank you all for the time and commitment. This community just loves 4th of July. The only other thing I want to report on is the Gold Line. We had our big meeting last Wednesday about White Avenue, so that was decided that we are going to just restripe it. We're not going to take any of this street and widen it. So that was received very nicely. The next day I had a JPA meeting, which is a Joint Powers Association for all the cities for Gold Line. And the committee, the board members had said, we've never been thanked before, but everybody that stood up said, thank you for doing, listening to the residents.
The people that were in the audience, they
Right.
thanked us. Thank you for thanking us. Something. This is a thank you session, but they don't get it very often.
But I think that shows the public that we listen, we act on what you want. We're representing you. And between the Gold Line with White Avenue, with Sierra Laverne, we're listening to you and trying to do the right thing. So thank you for reaching out to us and letting us know, and it's, we'll keep moving forward.
Don't add one more thing, real quick one. Corey Lieber was so big on chairs not being put out early. Only last year, how many chairs were last year? Was it a lot? This year was 8. 8 chairs, so.
8 chairs what?
8 chairs they took?
Yeah.
That was it, and then
That's
somebody
it.
came back and got 4. The other 4?
Oh.
Anyway, again, controlled that one too, so good job.
And also, Billy here, I just saw you back there with the street crew, everybody. Please let them know how much we appreciate their hard work. Your
Great
staff,
job.
thank you. And Anthony?
I have had the honor of being the president and chair of the Friends of the 4th of July for 15 years. And I will tell you that where we have come on the 4th of July from then till now, in my opinion, is extraordinary. No motorcycles when we started. There was a lot of stuff that didn't exist that exists today. But it exists today because of an amazing group of people that come together the beginning of the year and do not stop until the end of July. And we're not done because we're doing everything we can right now to make it better next year. And it's like, how can it be better next year? It will be better next year. Just because. And the Christie on the parade, 11 to 1,300 pancake breakfasts by the Boy Scouts. The Methodist Church doing the Deep Pit Barbecue. This is their 56th year. Tim Morrison doing the motorcycle group, over 200 Harleys, entertaining us with a great patriotic program before, as well as the parade beginning. And then the parade with all these hometown, wonderful, wonderful things. When I started riding in this parade years and years ago, there was a lot of empty spaces. There is no empty spaces. Your hands never stop. Someday I'll watch that parade and enjoy every minute. But today, and I will, I'm gonna make an announcement today. Bill, is it okay if I could do it tonight? For those that were in the stadium, we had two things that really were exciting. One is the program and one is the fireworks. I don't think I've ever seen fireworks that I'd appreciate it more. But the Answer did their last concert until we called on Friday. They will be back. They're coming back. And so we're going to announce it at August 11th at the concert in the park. They will be there to close out our concert series. If you want to listen to them again and you know, all the things that they do so well, I would encourage you to be there, probably starting the day before, because they're that popular. But thank you for the staff of Laverne, mostly the staff that does that tirelessly and committed. I was so tired of that 15-hour day for me. I was so tired, I didn't even get out of my chair the next day, I'm telling you. The second thing I would like to comment on, I think, is I never really thought about it, I just kind of did it. But I think it's really important, and I wasn't there, I was in Oregon at the Board of Directors Chamber of Commerce meeting. But I was given a certificate as a member of the Chamber of Commerce for 25 years. And it's very meaningful to me because I think it's people that are in the community that give to the community that make this community what it is. And we saw tonight how important it is for people to be involved. And our Chamber of Commerce is wonderful. We have great leadership on both sides of the room. One guy that doesn't look so good.
Picking on the guy with the bandage.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, he'll get me back. But I think it's important to be involved in the community that you work in and love and enjoy so much. So thank you very much, Leah and Brian, for recognizing me for my 25-year involvement with the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, one thing if I could add to the 4th of July committee, because I don't think it's very aware by everybody here, but and it is somewhat unique. The city does very little other than the staff support that we provide, which is significant given, but does not provide any financial or provides very little financial contribution. And actually this last year, the committee has been so successful in fundraising, and I think a lot of that has to do with somebody who's in this room as well, right, Brian? That they didn't need any assistance at all from the city. So everything that is done is generated through the work that's done, the donations that are received. So it is not just a labor of love, but it is also an effort in contributions to keep it as minimal impact on the organization at City Hall. So congratulations on that as well. So.
And I would like to say that Robin and I share the leadership on this committee, and we work really well to make this the best day of the year in Laverne, and I think think we do that, not only for our residents, but a lot of other residents that come here as well.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Christie, JR, and Public Works, and Bill, your staff, again, the whole city did an outstanding job, but it's a lot of work for Christie when she had to bring all the people in with the green vests to make sure that, you know, everything went organized, and also the fact of just getting the floats where they're supposed to go and making sure everybody's in place. It takes a village to get that all together. Actually, an army, and boy, it's a testament to how it functions so well no problems whatsoever. I think it went off without a hitch. I mean, minor things, but it went off without a hitch. So
There's
please
hitches.
let's-
There's hitches.
Hitches.
But, you know, we have great people doing it, so. Moving to item F, thank you, Tim, closed session.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a need for a closed session. Back on my agenda here. It's conference with labor negotiator and government code section 54957.6. There'll be nothing to report.
I would like to thank certain people right in front of me. One was honored earlier, and that's you that just got nudged.
He's way past his bedtime, too.
And the RSVPs is, we're adjourning tonight's meeting in honor of two very, very special people, two RSVPs that passed away, one on May 12th and one on June 24th. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the first one, Sherry McDonald. McDonald was born in May of I'm going to go to my notes. She was born in 1938 in February in Phoenix. She moved when she was 12 years old to El Monte, graduated from high school in El Monte, and she attended with RSVPs Sue and Bob Delgado. Bob has passed away. Sue is still with us, doing a great job. So, and Bob was Sherry's son's Little League coach, which I think is wonderful. When she was a senior in high school, she met a person that became the love of her life. She was married in September of 1956, and in between that and probably about 5 or 6 years later, they had 2 kids. She started, her husband Dave asked her to get a job for a couple weeks just to kind of tide them over for a little bit. She saw an ad, went to work for Bonds, then went to Shopping Bag. They got bought out by Albertsons, and anyway, she ended up spending over 40 years with that company. And at her reception, Albertsons provided everything, which was absolutely wonderful. Dave, her husband, was an amazing young man. He was into racing, knew everybody that was anybody. Mickey Thompson, I think we all knew that name, asked him to drive a car for him in the Indianapolis 500 in 1964. On the second lap, he died. And he left Sherry at 26 years old with 2 kids. And she not only survived, but she thrived. In 2010, she became an RSVP and loved Yana. In 2011, she was diagnosed with cancer. She started in treatment. 2012, she said, I'm not having any more treatment. And for 7 years, or 6 years, she thrived. Unfortunately, she passed away, and we had her service recently since our last city council meeting. The turnout was amazing. This was just such a happy occasion. Her 2 kids talking, and it was great. The other is Gail Proctor, Gail Johnson Proctor. She passed away in June. She was born in Provo, Utah, graduated from high school up there, earned her business degree, bachelor's degree in business administration, and she received her master's in organizational management. She started her career in Salt Lake City in the police department. But she moved here in 1981, went to work for NASA, and retired in 2012. In 2012, she joined the RSVP, and she loved being a part of the records, vital scans, fingerprinting, and doing anything that she could. I think it's really important to understand how devoted Gail was. By this statement, she was so devoted to the department that she had to call and ask for smaller sized pants because she lost so much weight because of cancer. Dedicated to the city of Laverne, dedicated to her fellow RSVP officers. The people that are wearing blue tonight, Norm missed out, he should have worn blue. Make this city an amazing place. So in honor of both Sherry and Gail, we adjourn in their honor. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Wants to stay a while.